Can't do what you do. Only you. Give me that deja vu. Only you. Before you found me, I was floating among the stars. No direction till I landed in your arms. Destiny makes sense when I look in your eyes. A new force of nature that brings me to life. Baby, I can't help it. I've never felt like this. Only you can do what you do. Only you. Give me that deja vu. Only you. Are you only passing through, or are you gonna love me? Are you only passing through, or are you gonna love me? Are you only passing through, or
Incoming message. I feel the love I've never felt before. I'm fired up now. Can feel the words I've never said before. I'll say them out loud. Everyone, love everyone. You can turn it off, no. Anyone enters the gun. We close our eyes and let it go.
only passing through, or are you gonna love
We close our eyes and let it go.
Are you only passing through, or are you gonna love
We close our eyes and let it go. I don't wanna be anywhere but here with you. Future memories we can carry on. The truth I found you. Incoming message.
I lift my feet off the ground, let gravity take me up. As beautiful as it's been, it's time for me to go. I wanna sail away, I wanna feel the weightlessness of my soul. I've gotta go all the way to eternity. I will run all the way to see you. I've gotta go all the way through time and space to find my to see you. And I'll go. time for me to go. I wanna sail away, I wanna feel the weightlessness of my soul. I've gotta go all the way to eternity. I will run all the way to see you. I've gotta go all the way through time and space to find my voice, to see you, and I'll go. And I'll go. And I'll go. Lift my feet off the ground, let gravity take me up. As beautiful as it's been, it's time for me to go. I wanna sail away, I wanna feel the weightlessness of my soul. Your vacant thoughts peering into the soft blue light. This unfamiliar glare blinds me out, I'm blinded. In spite of my efforts to keep you satisfied, I seem to be losing you, it's not worth the fight. So I speak up, I scream into the void. I reach for a hand to guide me through the shifting land below. I'm running up, the walls are closing in. I feel the cold embrace of dust. We rise and dust we come. I hear my voice speak through the walls of stone. When I saw you leave, I felt you go. As thoughts borderline, blinding from a distance. No more resistance. So I speak up, I scream into the void. I reach for a hand to guide me through the shifting land below. I'm
so make three. Doctors and friends and family. When it was time to leave, there was only one, and it was me. Got so good at looking next to you, next to you. Couldn't bear the thought of something new. She told me don't worry, we've been apart before. The last part of heaven, we'll be waiting for you once more. She told me don't worry, told me don't worry now. Told me don't worry, told me don't, told me don't. I've been feeling just a little bit low. Got to get back to the show and we'll fly. Yeah. You don't have to feel like you're on your own. No one should have to dance alone, not tonight. You and me, we're gonna write a little history. You and me, just show me love and then you'll see. Memories that we make, they are never gonna fade for a lifetime. We don't give no shit if you wanna hide away. We just have to try to play second fields up in the memory bank. I've been looking for somebody to make memories in the bank forever in time. There's no reason to be hard to find, 'cause we've already lost our mind. You and me, we're gonna write a little history. You and me, just show me love and then you'll see.
Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back. What is this? The second, third, fourth? I don't know. Feels like a lifetime, but I'm glad to be here. I'm Mark Power, joined by the amazing Gibson, Di, and Whip It, as the two in the middle decided to wear the same outfit. Me and Di got to wrap around the outside. Let's start with you, Di. How things? How you been? I know we've been playing a bit of REDSEC, though. We'll leave these two in the middle for a second.
Listen, Mark, the fact that we forced Gibson onto more USS Grant made me happy in our ranked games. We need to do it a little bit more. I feel that slowly but steady, he gets a touch of it. He gets how the sensational it can be when you drop in USS Grant, and his face tells everything right now.
Oh, yeah? I've got to take back my words from last week. Love it now. Why? I love it because Gibson hates it. Gibson, why do you hate the US Grant, mate?
Too small, mate. I'm a bird. You gotta let me fly. Let me fly. Let me run around. Don't trap me inside a ship where I can just get cornered by absolutely everybody, which is never my fault because I'm never running off by my own opening loot boxes, chasing kills. I would never do such a thing like that on the USS Grant.
Spray and pray, Gibson. Whip it. We know the true reason is that you can't find the way out of the US Grant, mate. But how you been, man? Because I know you like the US Grant as well.
Listen, I've been good. I've been enjoying it. But listen, Gibson talking about he wants to be free and fly away. Well, he might be careful because I think we're a bit of a magnet for the helicopter teams. I know he wasn't a very fond member of our experiences with that around golf course we've had during the week. But it's super exciting to be back here. It feels like, I don't even know how many scrims we've covered at this stage, but I'm very intrigued to see where we find our teams going to. And I'll quickly go to Gibson. What's this lobby looking like for this one? How are you feeling about what we stacked up for today?
Lobby's looking very good. Obviously, 6-7 on the field are playing. They're probably going to be the team you'll want to watch with players like Squinty and Fusker on the roster. We don't have TBA tonight. They're taking a break. I think we might get them back on Friday. But one team I do want to keep an eye on is a new team that's joining us on the night, which has got Ethan on it. So it's Ethan. I think Jude's going to be in that roster as well. Maybe Abu, and I think Class might be coming in from the Americas. So it's worth keeping an eye on what they're going to do. They said they're going to go out last every game, but we all know coming last in this game is pretty hard to do.
Fun fact, though, from that one, Ethan was in Gar's chat asking for him to come join the scrims. Gar had to go ask for permission, and it wasn't even confirmed.
His wife said no.
Yeah, basically. No, I think the wife said yes, but then he had to go back and get it all cleared on the other side. Look, I'm intrigued by this lobby. Look, we got to be honest. The TBAs, obviously, when we last saw them last week, they're worlds above the rest. They understand they've got this element of control. I felt, though, I got to cover 2 games, and the one thing I can take from it is without them in the lobby, it does feel a little bit more balanced. So expectations for this game high? Is there any teams or players that you're watching out for?
Oh, listen, again, another team that I'm going to have my eyes on is going to be 6-7. The fact that the first game I ever casted on the scrims here on Battlefield was Avra clutching up a 1v2 scenario on the first scrim has already set my expectation for that team very, very high. So that's the team I'm going to have my eyes on, just because if TBA isn't there, it's 6-7 on the top, and they've definitely proven that on Friday, I believe we were casting on Gibson's channel, where they were going absolutely nuclear.
They were going nuclear. I want to talk about a couple of things because some people might be new to watching this one, Whip It. And yes, we've repeated this and we talked about it 7,000 times over, but I want to talk about some of the guns and the meta. Like, what should new people coming to REDSEC and REDSEC Esports be looking for or looking to level up, especially in normal game?
Well, it's actually a pretty narrow selection we see from teams at the minute. It's going to be, for your range option, teams are going to go with the SVDM, or they're rocking the KTS for that more automatic fire. Very stable weapons. KTS, low bloom, low recoil, low rate of fire, super stable, always able to keep people suppressed in indies, forcing them into cover. SVD, if you've played any ranked, you know that is going to shred you if you overexpose for a second. And when we move to our close quarter options, most people are taking from their customs, the SCW-10 is reigning supreme. Throw an extended mag on it, throw some stabilization and a violet laser, and you are going to be so strong. It has been one of the most prevalent SMGs we've seen all throughout our scrims.
And look, Gibbs, let's go into classes though, because at the moment we're still doing this kind of 1-1-1-1. There is some voting going on in the Discord, whether they want to try and do 2s or 3s or just have a complete free reign. I quite like the one class each per team, basically. I don't know what your thoughts are. Have you had much time to take away after watching the scrims?
I think it's based more on just how overpowered some classes are. We can't have teams running around with 3 assaults and 1 scout, or 2 scouts, 2 assaults. So the addition of the 1-1-1-1 means that absolutely everyone has to use a bit of everything. That means there's some little interactions that these classes are going to have with each other that do add value. Like with the support, you throw down the smoke grenade, you're able to res that a little bit quicker inside the smoke. With the assault, obviously, you play it faster. You've got the bombas. But something we've seen a little bit more of, Mark, lately, and I want your opinion on is some teams are going for the other class inside of assault. They're going for the toxic version where you've got the gas canisters that you can use and kind of use that as an entry. Do you think that it's viable bringing the gas, or do you still think bombas reign supreme?
It's really different. I think it comes down to how people play. Like, I've tried both now. I like the bombers. I like to expose the wall, and especially when you've got players that have dug into sort of a bathroom or dug into a side of the house, we can kind of really open things up. The gas, on the other hand, is that if you have these 2, and come back to my initial question, if we do have 2 assault classes in one, that's just a deadly combination, because you could open the wall, you could put a gas in the middle. I like the gas. I just feel like you can get away from it. But it does do damage, Whip It, and obviously from the damage, it means these teams have to disengage because you can't keep a head-to-head fight with a gas that is blooming.
I think you get so much value in the late game when you have to force people out of strong positions with the gas. You throw it in there and they're going to take damage. And obviously, if you're not on the assault running that, you don't have access to the gas mask, meaning you're going to be vulnerable to it. You're going to start seeing your demons and you have to get out of it. And I think that leaves you very exposed in those end game positions. But for the early and mid, I think the Bombers reign supreme. Super good at flushing people out of buildings. They're great to launch in towards those respawn beacons. And as Mark said, they can tear down structures, remove cover. And I think in these very hectic, chaotic early game fights, that's a very valuable asset for a team. So right now with one support, one assault, I think that's going to be the more viable option. But if we were allowed to two, having both of those stacked up could be a deadly, deadly combination.
It is deadly combination and died. Let's talk about some deadly drop zones because everyone seems to be going for the gold, right? You hit the gold and I think it's critical, right? The early action sometimes rewards you, not all the time, but it's definitely something someone should be looking to do.
Definitely does, right? You get yourself some kills, but also you get yourself more training because these are scrims. These teams want to be practicing as much as possible. So being in early gunfights, being in a lot of gunfights will at the end give them more time to succeed, right? If they always play the edge zone, never play against other teams, how are they actually meant to learn how to fight in a team, how to coordinate when it's chaos? So I think all the teams that at the beginning on gold to a gold zone, like for example USS Grant, like Chemical, Redline was also a lot of the times gold, but also like Defense, the second they dropped it, the second they have like 5 teams or 3 around them, it becomes very, like the communication is going to be on top and that's what they're going to be practicing most of the times. That's why if there is a chance for most of the teams to go to early starting fights, I would actually recommend them because again, you need to communicate, you need to practice. Scrims are here to practice. If you fail, you fail. It's not about being in a first, it's about practicing because the 10K tournament is just shortly around the corner soon.
Well, we talk about practicing and we're about to get Linda Robbie, but I have to be honest and transparent. My observing was so bad the other day that we've had to get some observers in, all right? Gibson, you can't talk because yours is just as bad as well. So we've actually got some professional observers coming in. We have 2. There might be some blips, there might be some glitches, but because the practice is not just for the players, it's for us as well. We need to say goodbye though, Mark and Gibson. That's me and Gibson and I. And let's have some fun with it. Die, whip it. Get out of it, guys. We're going to game.
Yeah.
Gibson, I had to do it on purpose, mate. But
Love
flap off
that,
that
Mark.
issue go fair. Yes, you love it, mate. Come on, it's good. It made you smile.
Yeah, it did. But look, it's good to get interaction tonight. Again, the viewers at home, we are missing some teams. Some teams have split. So if you're looking for some Crimey Beans action, you ain't getting that here. The Crimey Beans have completely split up. We got Beezy on one team. We got Jude. I think he's playing with La Secte, the French team. Then you got Gosu playing on a mix. And then Abu will, of course, be playing alongside Ethan on his mix as well as we watch kind of one of our top teams in the lobby. The 6-7ers, we're just going to call them Bulldog for the night because it makes it easier. Not too far away as they're going through missions in the early stages by Marina.
There you go. You've got to see the transition between Observer 1 and Observer 2. This is professional, Gibson. This is a professional setup today. Look at these pros.
Yeah, so obviously Schreikel and Science are 2 observers on the night, so much love out to them. They're joining in to get some practice as well. This is their first game. They have worked basically S-tier events in other titles, but it's always going to be a little bit different when you get things up and running early stages. But Avra, getting closer and closer, will spot those parachutes off in the distance. They are on the hunt, but as you can see, Mark, looks like we might have a 3 or 4 team party hitting off pretty soon.
There's a 3 or 4 team party as I try to level up the audio because that's what I need to do best. Here comes the push that comes round. Don't forget, we are in the gold zone here, so pressure obviously being applied, but they've got their mission, right? 6-7, looking to get the kill, looking to get that confirmation out of the way, but more importantly, get the reward, Gibson.
Yeah, it's going to be worth keeping an eye on. Squinty leading the way. He's got the melee out to get that extra little bit of speed, but it is Ethan's team that they are hunting down. So OC, I think a lot of people might know him as well inside the community. I think that's just ahead of that position. But keep an eye, player jumping on down. Triple H is going to be the first one to fall from Mena. Hanny's under pressure here as well. Squinty is going after Fahad, who's in a ton of trouble here, Mark. Dodge dipping and diving his way out of trouble, but he's going to get caught.
Oh, that was close. I like it. The opposite was like he ran out the building. He sat in the corner. Squinty turned, deleted the player. Now the pressure be on. Golden obviously looked to try and make the climb. They've still got to get the kill, but they're still going to get the run. They've got to be careful. Oh, my days. It's a swap over, but it's an instant death.
Mark, you've just burst my eardrums with
I'm
how
about to
loud
say,
that transition was.
Observer 2 was loud, mate. I can say you that.
Yeah, Observer 2's a bit louder. The fight will continue, though. Avera's going to jump scout, but gets caught out as Triple H back into the fray. Will catch out Golden Mike as Logic and Co. are still standing in this position. They third-partied at the perfect team time. Fats, Logic working their way on through. You can see Hanny up on top of the roof as the red zone is beginning to get that little bit closer to the Firestorm. But Mena in trouble, Mark, on the top floor, and here comes Fats and Co.
Guy goes to a peek though, gets one, good damage down, completely cracked. That goes for the swap over. He's got two, and he gets absolutely overrun though. Triple H, final player, going to be going down as well. They've got to get his res on pretty quick, not much time, but lucky enough for them, there's no third party coming in.
Yeah, Rustin Marr looks like he's joined in. He's playing with the LFTs. That is, of course, the team with Dan and Fats. So keep an eye on how Rustin Marr is going to do. Usually plays on Team TBA, who, like we said, are not taking part on the night. So they'll back on out of there, make their way down to the beach as they work their way in towards the edge of Marina. But again, lots of damage being done. Logic will confirm out Fahad as this fight still continues.
Fight still does continue though, but they've got to try and rotate out. Obviously, they've got a bit of time. They're getting applied pressure. They've got to go for these replays as well to get things going. Big things as well. People that are new watching in, you kind of want to get those kind of mobile readers, boys, the Mobies. You can see it down, but also the defibs. Super critical things. If you can grab them, you need to put them in your back pocket.
Yeah, so with that one storm, LFTs, they managed to win a couple of kills early stages. That'll help them. Remember, the points, the way they work in REDSEC at the moment is 1 point per kill, and then 22 points for the win, with the points just decreasing as far as I believe the top 16. Viper, though, up on the hill line. We've got the sniper in the hands, the L115, not landing shots this time, but Mark Viper pushing in aggressively here, and they managed to close the gap with the help of that airstrike.
Yeah, the airstrike has really helped him sort of get right underneath the skin, and they're right on top of him now. Initial shots will come through. Does quite a damage. Swaps over. It's explosive, but doesn't get a knock. Completely on the plates, and now has to back off and go for the reset.
Yeah, Bankai is going to swing around the corner. Manages to add one more, but he's going to get instantly traded back the other way. He gets caught out as we see Sorianch getting that one. He's going to go for that instant res. While all this is going, there's nobody nearby to kind of third party on the action, so Viper will manage to get bodies back up. We'll probably get the second chance as they move their way in towards crash site, but early stages, we've already got 12 players dead. One team has been eliminated already, and Mark, we can see just off in the distance there is a mission that's being completed, and I see a third party on its way in here as well.
Yeah, we do see the third party. I think these teams obviously now getting clear from what they want to try and achieve. Donut, though, not providing the donut just yet. Getting those kills in. But again, more teams fighting on the outside edge. And the diet said it's all about this fight in the gold. You get the loot, you get the opportunity. It gives you that level up to get really set in early doors. And that's what we love to see.
Yeah, Toomsy, just off the back of that successful fight there, getting closer and closer to another engagement. You can see them just in the distance, waiting to see what those team tags are. I think it's Team Nebula, the French squad, that are just one building away. Smoke will get deployed as they go for that customs weapon and make their way across, but it looks like we're heading to a front here with a Cali right above Rustin Marr.
He's right above him. He's just trying to figure out which way he kind of wants to breach into this one. They go through the stairs, go up to get the higher ground. That'll give him the advantage, though. Trident on the back out, though. Govu, again, been a strong player so far in the showings when it comes down to the scrims. Definitely one of the guys that are going to be there at the end. Ristomado gets the spray, doesn't get the connection, and now he erupts, though, in the city.
Akali with the SCW runs empty on the magazine's going to get caught out now by Fatsa, but she's going to get traded back on the other side as Lamouette is able to work their way up the stairs. Logic out in the open, he's going to get downed as well, leaving it all down to Toomsy now. Can't quite pick a target. He's going to fall, and Team Nebula will regroup and keep an eye. I don't know if that's a full squad wipe or whether or not we'll see LFTs rejoining the fray pretty soon.
Yeah, look, again, the big question is they could potentially come back and get in front of this and close them out. For the Trident boys, FT, they'll be able to get that reset that they need. We are seeing a potential closeout a little bit further in towards the zone. We will bounce towards the other side, though. Fortune not too far away. Look at the defense nexus. Shot will go through. Bolt not quite getting the connection needed, but giving information as he's trying to escape. The clutches, though. Omzi
got this bolty out and in his hands, trying to make something work here. As it looks like one observer's using mouse and keyboard, the other one's using controller. Worth noting, there are some differences between the both when you're spectating, so people can keep an eye on it. But just using, you can see the airstrike as a thermal scope to work out where teams might be ahead of them, to see if they can find that next engagement as they begin working their way towards the short side of the circle, Mark, over by Nexus. And look, if there's one thing I know about playing with you, you love talking about that short side of the circle.
Yep. Keep on the short side. Keep it safe. Keep it sweet. Does it play back that way? No, not all the time. But it's the consistency. It's the trend that I'm looking for, Gibson. The gods of the REDSEC haven't given me the secret sauce just at the moment. Rest of the teams, though, they are still fighting in the edge, and I don't think they're worried about the circle just yet because they're working for the opening. There comes a shot, fully cracked. Goes through, and there's only 2 for Surge that are remaining, but a dangerous duo. They can get some points on the board.
No custom weapons, though. L85 is the only real range that he has with the SCW as the secondary, so not giving you the best of advantage in a gunfight like this. It looks like the teammate has just rejoined the fray with only the secondary weapon in the hands, as well as we sit on board with Cats. Yes, the team's called Cats and they've got a player called Monkey, but Cats working their way in. They've lost Kukuru. Yeah, they've lost Kukuru, and they'll want to say this mission, if I'm not wrong, Marcus, probably to try to get a mobile redeploy back in the fray, and it gets tough when you move into downtown because there's just so many spots people can be hiding in.
Yeah, there is definitely a ton of spots. Just I'm going to go for the customs as well. Jump back over towards golf course though, as a barrage of shots will come through. Sound has dropped out slightly for that observer. For me, it's definitely different levels, but we'll go with it. It's fine. Ironside gets the Ironside of the golf course, and maybe we'll just take an opportunity just to replate and maybe get a second breather for this fight.
Yeah, Mellow K9 just on the roof of golf course, but you can see the firestorm is moving in pretty fast. One team on the edge, just over to their left. They'll probably do their best to just stay out of fights, maybe use the bunkers and the crashed helicopter to stay out of the waiting hands of Mellow and Screwface from Wolverine as they begin working their way in. Just for the viewers at home, I want you to all know we are slowly but surely learning all of these team names as we go on. We've got a team list, but of course, without the ability to name teams in server, they're going to be using the default tags like Wolverine, like, you know, I think we see Knights quite frequently, so just keep that in mind.
I quite like it. It makes my job easier. Arrow point. As we can see in the boss note, just trying to wait, but I've got to be careful though. Here comes the jump off. Great spray. Transition will go through. Chris actually put him down. So trying to find safety now on the ground. Rest of them opt to go back. Damage done. One goes up towards the top. Again, not too much. This Gakai has to try and back away. It's difficult now because they have to make a judgment. What time do they come off here? And then will they get safety and boots on the ground?
Yes, Team Nebula up against LeSect as it's French on French warfare. Arizo uses the helicopter as a battering ram to take down both Gavu and Akali, and it looks like LeSect have got the better of Team Nebula at this point in time. Kyborg here, along with Prokian and Ghoul, they're just going to stay prone along with Hail Jesus as they wait. Outclass, of course, the tag of this team as they get not 1, but 2 custom weapon drops within a few meters of each other.
If not in doubt, get both of them out. That's what I'm saying. Bit of double custom action. They will try and hold. Obviously, the Moby is going to be down. So they will, again, use the opportunity just to try and scout. Try and see what is around them. There's a recall coming through. That's used to the drone. The scout will be identifying. Actually, there's fights coming in off the high grounds, and actually they need to start thinking about what happens and where do they go, and if they come underneath the bridge, well, that will start causing them some problems because they will be exposed. It's just that whole Gibson that will keep them alive.
Yeah, that dip just as you move from ground zero down towards downtown, providing a little bit of cover for them for now as they'll continue to play inside this hole. And I think for Outclass, they're just going to hold this position for as long as they possibly can. Like, Mark, the only real place that they're at risk from is on top of that bridge. But if you step on that bridge in a zone like this, half the lobby are going to get angles on you. So they'll be fine for at least another minute or 2.
We will wait and see. I think it is going to come down towards that time. And as you say, and arguably that rotation that we are going to see. So we're obviously going to make the plays. Interstellar, though, coming from outer space, making the push as we can. Got to be careful. They haven't quite got the connection. And actually, the full disengagement from the team back into the heli, that gives them the opportunity not just to scout the information, but may take a level of aggression back towards this team. But for now, they've backed off. They're playing the zone. So rotate round towards that north side.
Yeah, we've got Wraith on our screens as Wraith just spots a player. It's a nice shot into Inteller, but as you see, not the headshot. Wraith is actually going to slam him down with that DMR, takes down Daz, and that's going to buy a little bit of time for the push. Daz, though, instantly has been defibbed back up on his feet as we jump on board with one of the mixes, Gosu, who obviously is playing now with Jojo and Easy, they are now a team to keep an eye on as well, but it's getting very hard. Like, look at how close these teams are getting together by the zip line.
They are. They're going to, again, it's trying to get rid of the fight, but use the elevation to maybe get in towards zone. I don't think the options are going to be there, so they're going to have to kind of work their way down. But once they've cleared this fight, it's the next fight. It's the bridge, and it's the decision. Do they go in towards the city or go round? Either option for these teams are going to cause problem. All I can say is only one is coming out alive.
Yeah, Chivers here from Arrow Point's got the angle from pretty far away. He can see everything that's going on by that bridge as they do get a squad wipe on the board. 12 teams left alive as the race inside downtown begins. Rocket launcher in the hands, Mark. You've tasted that missile to the face many a time in the past as we hop on with a
Rezo. Every time. You see my dodge, duck, and dive, mate. Unlike
you juked it once.
Once on camera, that's all that counts, mate. That's now a lifetime of juking worthwhile, Gibson.
Yeah, LeSec's Jude here, spraying down with that KTS at range. Arizo will send the launcher in, managing to get that knock, but they will not forfeit the high ground for now. Tough for Corrali and the rest of the squad as they work their way through that gas station inside the circle. Corrali from Gambit steps out inside the open. This is not a place you want to be, particularly with 6-7 on the other side of this engagement. Chivers opens up a range volley of shots again. Even more damage being done, but Mark, we always said, even if you're not getting knocks, you're destroying their plate economy.
Yeah, you are, but you've got a question from Arrow Point. They're on the higher ground. They're going to become a focal point from a lot of these teams now working their way in. Everybody's looking up. How much longer does Arrow Point stay here?
They're going to stay here as long as they possibly can. They've got full control of the circle. From up on here, Jude will take a little bit of damage, puts the plate back on up, but as you can see, Inteller moving up onto the bridge. Jude hits a nice headshot to buy himself a little bit of time, but it's all getting very condensed now on the short side of the circle.
It is. Jude Devil moves there. The whip around, the shot's cool. But again, they might be doing the damage gives them. They are receiving a hell of a lot of damage as well. Neighbours below. Now they're going to take a couple of shots down and rains of fire down. There's the damage done and Jude will fall, lucking up the bodies. Well, they continue the pressure and they send them packing into the belly of the beast.
Do they have a mobile redeploy? Can they get him back up on his feet? You can see that Formais is still in this position. Bulldog now 6-7 on the field will begin to try to open their way towards the building. They're sending the bombas. They're sending the smokes. Avra in particular getting a ton of value out of those smoke grenades to get up close and personal with the building. And basically, Mark, what we have now is that nightmare neighbor next door. They've got a gentleman's agreement. They'll not fight each other, but they'll protect each other from other threats.
Yeah, but how long does that last before the house party kicks off? Because when this house party kicks off, it's going to have a lot of bass to it to quick things. Quinty, though, having a look to find some safety. Obviously, a lot of teams coming in towards that northeast corner. French team, though, for Arrow Point, they are still the Arrow Point. They are still the highest point in this late game. But again, it brings back to the point. What point do they come off the higher ground? Because, yes, they might be farming some kills here, but they need to get a win.
Yeah, difficult spot here for anyone to push towards 6-7 as they're just using the audio cues inside this little gully, this little gullet that they've created for themselves. Back on the high ground, Arrow Point firing down towards Kaleidos. You can see Formai is actually hitting some really nice shots, forcing them into cover, and this is just a really tough push. Firestorm at your back, wide side of the circle, 6-7 fighting it from one side, LeSec from the other. This ain't looking good.
I love it. 6-7 put the drone the next floor up. They've got a whole stack of a team. Oh, that's nothing to see here. Leave us alone. Leave it back to Arrow Point. They've got the higher ground. There's another knock that comes in. And where did these teams go? Pressure from behind. Pressure from the gods.
Yeah, the question is how much more value can they get? LeSec up on top of this building. At some point, they're going to have to come down from that mountain. And can they get the victory as we do lose another player? BZ, another one of the former members of the Crimey Beans, will fall. Here's the thing I'm going to point out now. Once LeSec come down from the building, they become at real risk here from 6-7 on the field.
Yeah, I think this is what the teams below them are waiting for. They're going to hear the shoots. That's going to give them the sound cue. You just need to look up and points come raining down your way. For now, they're going to get looted up. They've got pressure as well. They're going to have to move at the same time. There's a nice little vehicle sabotage, and I don't think there's an easy route out here. The only advantage that Arrow Point have got is they've got the long jump. They could try and get across that roadside, and there is an opportunity now in that north corner.
Yeah, they're just making sure that 6-7 aren't going to come up that... they're making sure that they're not going to come up that zip line. But here we go, jumping off the far side of the building. We'll buy them a little bit of cover for now as they manage to get all boots on the ground. And Mark, not a single shot has been fired their way.
How? Timing to perfection. Arrow point. They're the spearhead of attack now. For the Bulldogs, well, they're in the trenches. They've got to be careful because they have more than nosy neighbours. They have pressure coming their way. Bomber launches through. Doesn't quite get the knock, but Jude causes damage.
LeSect now putting in the work. Jude told me earlier he doesn't know what the team's going to be like because 3 of them are calming in French and he's just there for the vibes. Squinty will make his way back up to the high ground as a squad wipe does come in. It looks like we've lost LeSect. In the midst of that mayhem, there's 2 teams left alive. 2 players up for 6-7. Can they get a mobile redeploy down on the deck, or do they even have one? Or will we just see this tide of Inteller and co wrapping their way down that hillside looking for the win?
2 versus 4, head to head. 2 teams now remain. Now they have to come to higher ground, but they go straight into a barrage of bullets. For the Bulldogs, they need to stick together. They need to maximize the firepower as they will just double check and make sure there's no teams lurking, or the remaining team lurking on top of that bridge. It's not going to be the case though. Squinty gets the opening shot, so it goes down to a singular play.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really tough to get the victory from here. Squinty, though, we've seen him pull off some great plays. Level 1111, by the way. Something I want to point out as it pleased me when I saw him on a broadcast the last day. But Golden, Mike, and Squinty, they're going to have to hold the line. Dazio and Inteller, they're trying to split out. Look, they've sent Inteller out as that forward scout, while everyone else regroups around the center of the circle.
I think he got caught and distracted by getting his hand caught in the cookie jar. Doesn't get punished just yet, but they had the punishment. They've allowed him to get to the high ground. Damage comes through. Now the attention has to be drawn back the way they've come. It's a 2-player marathon as they will work their way. Look at the move in the back, and unfortunately for Squinty, he's run out of space.
Yeah, he's going to dip his way back in. He's going to get that SCW out. He manages to find Inteller. 1 is going to fall. The Scriminals in a ton of trouble. Squinty drops on down, but Bocik Cernik is there to get the kill, leaving it all down to Golden Mike. He's got Daz to his right. Took him a couple of seconds to spot him out, but you'd imagine from here, tucked in the corner, pressure coming in, a couple of headshots landed. It's going to go the way of the Scriminals, and it does.
Well, victory taken. Squinty squinted very close to victory, but for the Bulldogs, guys, they didn't have the bite in the end. Let's bring back the 2 amazing people. Let's whip it and die. Welcome back in. It was an urban style ending. The arrow point at the very top. The Bulldogs so close to victory. Whip it.
That was a perfect ending in my eyes, and I've just got to say, Squinty, take a bow. Having the mental wherewithal to realize you can jump in the back of the truck, fake them out that you made a deep rotation, pounce around and get 1 pick, amazing collection. Unfortunately, not able to capitalize and steal the victory, but a great play there. And this final circle had it all. Fighting for elevation, making those final desperate dives to low ground. It was perfect. And a few times we got to see the perfect strength of why teams love to spam out those SVDs. They were so lethal in this environment.
Come on, Di. I know you're a bolty queen, right? You've seen the shots you hit. You must have been impressed with some of the actions coming in. That was some close range hitting. It wasn't just all SVD action. We had some bolties there. But yeah, that was a good kickoff for game number 1.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, again, showing why, for example, Team 67 is all the way up on the top for my behalf. But again, just showing especially SVDM, right? What more can you say about a DMR long range? It just shoots you down no matter what you do. If you show your head just a tiny little bit too long, if you don't realize you're being shot, well, that's GG at that point. But all the other shots, especially also those close range ones, are very well done. At the end, I'm just a bit disappointed at 6-7. They split up. Of course, they were kind of forced into the situation, but if they would have stayed together and played it as a 3v3, they could have gotten the victory at the end. But hey, those small things at the end do cause some rounds and some victories.
Numbers can count at the end game. There's one thing I do really, really love about 6-7 is every time you mention it, me and Whippet do this, and Gibson, your face though is priceless, mate. Priceless.
It takes me like 3 seconds to do it straight after you. We do have a live leaderboard, by the way, Mark, if you're interested. 6-7 on the field, picked up 28 points. And that game, Team Nebula got 10. They say it's a live leaderboard. 3 team scores are updated. I'll keep you guys posted on those leaderboards as we get them. It's not really live if we only have 3 teams points, is it?
Sounds like it's biased, if you ask me, Gibson. So you can get back in your box and come back for your live leaderboard a bit later, though. Whip it. Early start, though, for a lot of these teams. And again, a lot of urban ending. I know Di spoke about the golden areas, but again, every team is kind of throwing themselves there. We don't see as many teams going for those central spots and locking it down like we saw with TBA.
No, I think that a lot of these teams are just diving into it. Kind of to what Di said earlier in this show. This is the first of 6 maps going into it. I think dropping hot, dropping super contested, warm up, get your comms locked in, and then maybe from 3 onwards, that's when we'll see that kind of control. But it is rare to see teams go for that TBA style of play where they're just committing to zonal pressure and holding that control down. Everyone's rushing for loot, rushing for action, and I think it's the allure of the kill points. It's dragging everyone into these fights. They know if they can, you might finish 10th or outside that top 10, but if you've got a very respectable point tally in terms of kills, it can help you climb that leaderboard. So I think some sides are experimenting with being more kill chase in the early stages of our lobbies today.
Gibson, not as many mobile readers, boys. Not as many mobiles as expected. As I think there were some opportunities these teams should have had him, maybe looking for him. I know you spoke about in the cast, though. It's key that you get those missions and try and grab these early.
Yeah, some of the best teams, you'll see them go for a bit of a priority where the first mission, you're trying to get the customs. The second mission then is to try to get a mobile redeploy. And then you go for the one of the world spawns for that second custom. We didn't see a lot of them, but the ones that we did see get picked up, we're gotten rid of pretty quickly because we got so many teams in a condensed space like we had inside of downtown. It's very easy for the teams on the high ground to just deal with any of those smokes you see with, Engineer having the launcher, with the bombas. You're seeing them get rid of them from range and prevent teams from getting that opportunity. Well, it goes back to what you said though, Mark. Like, we don't have a lot of maybe the more experienced teams. Not that any team's hyper experienced considering we've only been scrimming for a few weeks now, but we'll see the better teams become a lot more economical with making sure they always have a mobile redeploy in the pocket.
So about mobile redeploys, I've got to give a shout out to Di because her magical move gave her the safety when we was playing ranked the other day. We was on the run and she dropped it down and carried on running and got us all back though. Gibson tried it, died straight away. Di, the mobile redeploys though are critical. Right. As I said, we didn't see as many though, but the defibs, every player that we seem to go across had the defib. And again, I think it's a lot more easier to find, but again, it's critical if you need to get your players back up.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm not...
What? Sorry, was that directed towards me?
You didn't say a name.
I
said die and then I just got blanked and then it's like, it's fine. I'll just give you a big G up. And
sorry,
whip it! Whip it! We're going to whip it now. No, joking. We'll talk about mobile redeploys. We're going into defibs. We're saying how critical they are. Whip it. Easy to find though, aren't they? Defibs.
They're super easy. I feel bad now. This was meant to be Di's response for it.
Yeah,
so
she's dead to me now, mate.
No, it's fine. I ghosted him. That's just a punishment for ghosting.
Listen, I'm sure you would say, I think you would probably put it better than how I describe it, but with them being so prevalent, they're in every single ambience, it feels like. You're going to get a lot of them. If you have your support players, actually, well, we have support players, you're going to get them in your orange crates, so you're going to have access to them. You may as well run with 4. It's going to be a quick revive, get people back, and if you can chain them in these longer range fights, it can feel so demoralizing to know you've cracked someone, you've knocked someone, well, they're probably going to be back up, so it's going to be much more difficult to push a team if they're more effective with their defense, making sure those quick res go off.
Well, it's all about quick turnarounds, and we'll give you a quick turnaround now because it is going to be Whip here, and it is going to be Di who's going to be playing the next one or casting the next one. So over to you two. It's game number 2. See you in a few.
Oh, thank you very much, Mark. Honestly, thankful we're not playing because you wouldn't want to see my gameplay. I miss a lot more shots than I would care to take, but you are the bolt action queen of the stack so far. So I do think hopefully we get to see some teams pick up the bolt action rifle and you can judge their performances.
Listen, I don't feel like I'm in any space to judge people for their performance. At the end of the day, these guys are about to be pro players, so wanting to become pro players, man, I'm still in silver, okay? I don't think I have any space, no right to talk.
In your defense, you've not had the time to play that people like Gibson would be. Yeah, I see you, Gibson, every single day, searching for whatever pro stack he can find himself in. Yeah, no response from him. That's a good thing to hear. I was trying to bait your response there. Hopefully he was trying to get something. But looks like there'll be a lot of activity out by golf course. Capital, our goal zone's very compact. And this is going to be a nasty one.
Did you see the US Grand is in gold? I'm just
it's always in gold.
I'm I'm just pointing it out. It's a big goal, of course, the broken down houses as well. 6-7. The team we're going to be going into, man. It just feels like the observers can hear me, and I've been glazing this team so much. I'm happy that we start with it. Oh, that was a sniper was picked up right there.
A mini scout coming into play, and actually I think one of the worst bolt action rifles you can find. Mini scout has no access to a sweet spot, so you'll never get that extra damage. It will do a basically 32 body shot at minimum without that headshot, so it's not the most ideal, but if you're precise with those shots, eventually you can make it work. But Crash Site gonna have a lot of activity as well. Defense Nexus, for being a gray zone, does have some action appearing. So we're back playing patient, and the crossover from mid's gonna find one. Lots of damage done, lots of plates broken, but no knocks for the team on the defense of the stairs. Gonna get perfect, and V2 Fallen gonna try and dive in. He's gonna shred one with the CZ, and a complete and utter wipe. They thought they could play the patient game, waiting for a cross from mid, and they paid the ultimate price. The ambush goes completely awry.
There you go, easy and steady, but Team Bozo, I believe they were called, are completely just annihilated in just a few seconds by V2. Very great start for them, but of course the next team already awaits. And it's of course the USS Grand, man. Every single time we find ourselves here, I just want to look at Gibson's camera and see the absolute pain he's in. I remember the struggles of him not being able to find the stairs how to get up, and listen, those memories will prevail forever. But Wildcat, of course, you know, fighting against Osmo. Open those doors, of course, he now moves in. And there's the backup from the teams. It's going to be quite quickly done and dusted. Amanda's advantage now being postponed on to Wildcat because they've lost now one of the members, while the other team, well, they're completely full stack.
Yeah, that's going to be Ethan gets shredded. Again, in a 1v4, not a lot he can do. His team separated from him. Coach going to be on this roster as well, trying to pile on in. See if they can find you. USS Grant, this hangar bay is okay to work with. Lots of open space to work with, but the cover is there. It's going to be an attempt. The M60. Consistent, low rate of fire, accurate to work with. Hard hitting in these positions as well. Fighting just outside of its ideal damage range, but still enough to write home about. Control of the control room. They do a good job locking it down. Can't do a lot here. Surprisingly, the USS Grant is yet to be enveloped by the flame. Osmo finds some good down shoot will save the opposition. Surround the USS Grant. He'll send it all into the hangar bay. He'll look for that confirmation. Spots him out. And hopefully, with the support his teammate does get it locked out nicely. Ethan OC falls once again. And that will be a permanent death for him this time around. Forced to get the long way around. Hopefully his team can find a way to battle for him.
Gonna be a quick one, as we can see yet again. A little bit of movement around happening. At the end of the day, they found themselves in a bit of a disadvantage. Yet again, they've lost their teammate. While the other opponent team is completely full and they are on the rooftop. They need to find a way out without being spotted, and we all know that's a bit difficult, especially because from the USS Grant, there's such a massive bit of water around you. There's just a bit of slide of a parachute or a slide on the zip line. Everything can be hurt, but from the looks of it, they might have just found the perfect gap to get themselves back up on the top bit here. And then luckily for them, there's only one member from the opponent team holding it down, while the other ones have gotten themselves back down on the ground, and now they have the upper hand, and they've established it quite quickly.
Fighting for control of the flight deck. Richter's going to try and look for it. They'll dance around the pallets, and a great movement to try and slide hop into this. He'll bait it around the cover, but unfortunately, this teammate on support just locks it one down. Kosh going to go huge here. SL9 not going to be the most damage dealing in the close quarter fight, but makes it work. Even finds time to get a deep on his teammate. Full recovery of control room. They've fully resent back to this. Now they're still down by one, but it doesn't get respawn. He's inbound for Kosh's side. They can get one back, and then USS Grant has provided action once again. And I just know Gibson is so happy that it's going to be a game he's not covering, as it's still not even in the zone. And as far as observers can hear us, I'd love to see what the zone is looking like at this stage and how long this aircraft carrier will stay in the fight.
Listen, maybe this is the perfect opportunity for Gibson actually to learn the stairs and use his Grant. Just to, you know, learn the layout and everything. We know he loves layouts. The second he figures out how something works. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. It's still gonna be in the circle for a while, so this is quite far. But as we can see, the other three gold zones, this gold barrier, the broken houses, and I believe chemical, they're gonna be gone very quickly. USS Grant's gonna be the last and final golden stage that's gonna stay in the circle for the longest. Of course, the circle might still pivot quite far away, but as for right now, it will stay in the game for longer than maybe most of us would have expected.
And of course, the reason it's going to be valuable to look at where our gold zones will be in the late stages. As things go on, crates will refresh. So if you're a team, maybe fighting on the back foot, or you've just respawned 3 of your buddies, if you can find control of the late gold zone, you're going to, hopefully, if things have respawned nicely, you can pick up some endgame loot from this. And we'll jump on board here. Buffalo finding themselves their first custom weapon drop, and the loadouts begin to get assembled. I would not be surprised to see a whole wide array of SCW-10s and SPDMs, just knowing that's exactly what we'll see from this. Playing on the outskirts of the zone as well. They have a mission active. Lots of visibility as they look over towards the valley. Solar farm down below. Defense Nexus just ahead of them. They can survey this and just figure out what they want to do exactly.
This mission better give them 100 gold coins. Look how far away the objectives are from each other. Why is this mission so unnecessarily far away? There's one on the fence, one further alive to the bus station, I believe, and even further left, I believe, in the like broken pit. Bit far of a mission for them, but they only find themselves.
Oh no. I just realized it because I'm not used to reading this HUD yet. The mission color is tied to the team, and that's a simple thing to assume, but it took me a while. Oh god, that's gonna be a horrible fight here. His brother's gonna get shut down, trying to vault into the side of construction, and his M4 M16 cannot get the job done. Gonna be a big chase here. Is Blackjack gonna find a huge amount of pressure? Bozo's gonna lose one more player. Soupy's gonna find a big pickup. SCW-10 shreds through one more, and they're gonna be on a full wolf pack. Hunters gets one more. SCW-10 showing why it should be in your lobby or in your customs, as Soupy shreds through a team, knocks them out completely, and takes full control of construction and a great position, knowing there's still a team deep inside of defense.
By 4 members when you can have one Soupy. Absolutely going nuclear and finishing off 4 of their opponents. Of course, there's a few more fights going on. The other side of construction is right now even a few reses, but pushes needs to be happening. The defib in hand, running across, but the team has already been rezzed. Yaji may find himself still questioning why he's got himself in a position. Of course not, if given quite a lot of space to the opponent's side. Might bite them back very soon because might find themselves all now bunkering down. As they need to now drop down, leave this up floor, give it to the opponents.
Construction gonna be a very valuable area of control. Two teams stacked up here. Just posturing up from it. The French once again find themselves in a great position. Seeing these gas masks on that VL7, I always get it wrong. Toxic gas going out. Does do significant damage to work with, and motion sensors down below. Lamote gonna try and dive on in, but it's gonna be the NVO. Great damage up close. Is gonna make it work for 2. And the rest of the team should collapse here. Flush out what's left. It's going to be a full wipe. They take control of construction. And Lamont's going to be the credit from that one. Finding a massive opening and a second. And a lot of loot to work with. And CZ might be calling names. A legendary P90 as well to make things work. But it's not going to be in the favor here of this round. 22 teams remain. And it feels like the pace of play has been much slower in this lobby as we immediately jump into action as Jude finds one. SCW-10 actually no, a Vector shredding through one, looking for a flush out just in the bunker of this highway, and they should be able to find it with relative ease. Great defib to get his teammate back immediately and forced to play out, but a lone survivor will make that run. And immediately, we're back to defense. It feels like we're never leaving this place.
Never leaving this place. Not in our rank game store. Now Scrims. The more teams are finding themselves, of course, the more the circle shrinks, the more teams need to pass through the fence. Unfortunately, it's just right upon a little bit of a choking point. So we can see a lot of teams trying to not go there, but of course the fight's already happening initially with Gambit. But the team is going to lose quite a few members now from the opponent team as they're being pushed out of the fence. They're retreating back, trying to make sure that they do not fall here. But they're fighting against Wraiths. For Buffalo on a beautiful defib. Oh, that was breezy. Beautiful.
A perfect trust fall, get caught by that defib and a full revive goes up. It does feel like this game has been a fairly long-standing one, Di. I think you could agree here. And we're still with 22 teams.
Absolutely. I mean, look, if we can look at the circle, I believe this is like the most teams we had in the size of the circle. Like, it's very, very slow of a game. Again, a lot of teams need to now pass through the fence or around the fence, so we're gonna have the fights happening quite soon. As we can see, where it went down from 22 teams down to 20 in just about a split of like 30 seconds. And from here on, it's just gonna be even quicker and quicker.
This fight on the fence nexus still begins to wind down. Gonna be an advantage. 3v2. Motion sensor from Wraith should get the information. See the players down below. The bomb is ready. Airstrike in reserve. And they do hold the advantage on the high ground of defense here with the Firestorm beginning to creep on in. They can try and play this a bit more passive. Wraith takes a lot of damage and will be forced to play this up. He spots out the opposition, lurking on the staircase down below. Okay, he's gonna be able to find one of his opposition and just gonna make an escape here. Hit and run, trying to weaken your opposition, realizing that they're gonna have to concede the advantage of holding defense. They can try and wait and catch them in this gambit. As it does look like Buffalo Squad still very wary about the knowing there's gonna be an imminent threat down below.
Maybe they just get themselves out here. Look at that damage to Breezy. Need to find themselves being down. There was another defib now coming in. The first parachute already leading the charge, but there's the next two. Unfortunately, they're still gonna have to find this player. Vikita will get one more. At the end of the day, he should be injured very soon, but somehow he's still staying alive. Still walking away, and there we have it. It just took a little bit longer than expected and caused for a lot more problems than what they would have expected. But he's down no matter what. But there's the next team already waiting. Construction. Looks a bit...
It feels like...
Yeah.
It feels like this fight for construction have just been the most profitable for these sides. Now, I actually don't think they're going to be worried too much about this. They immediately get themselves towards that redeploy. And I think that's just going to be the dinner bell. I said they might not have to worry about it, but I think the French side will make them worry about it. They've actually opted to not go for it. And with this going to be tantalizingly close on the edge of zone, will they get it done? I think they just about have enough time. They don't have the assault buff to capture this. And of course, if you have an assault player, it goes a little bit quicker. They have to skirt the edge of the zone. And I'm not sure if they got it done. Don't believe they did. So unfortunately for them, they have to find a new respawn. And actually back with the French on the Traverser. They spot some out by security gate. They know a threat's lurking. Two teams set up for this. And that engine is going to be a massive alert that this side is arriving. They're going to send it straight on in. Actually looking for control of that support tower.
Ooh.
So one lone player will hear this engine who might begin to shake in his boots.
Not shaking his boots is the last man standing from 6-7. We all my praise and it's caused them fall down, but look, the fact that they're still on this Traverser just makes it so much more funnier. Of course, it's Akali and his team. There's a few shots not happening on the other side on the bridge. Next fight is happening. As mentioned again, in the second the circle becomes very small and teams are being forced to push around. Gonna find each other and also start these fights. That's why it took such a long time, because everybody was basically moving perfectly, but now we're gonna have the first few engagement. The Traverser yet again being used by another opponent team. Silver Black now, they find themselves trying to repair it.
Oh no!
I don't think it's gonna work. It's they're doing their best to keep it alive.
It's going to be a long repair process, but with the Firestorm beginning to creep on in, it's just going to be a horrible one. And they'll eventually have to abandon it by the roadside. The flames envelop it, and Arrowhead, well, they're going to be the nearest team in opposition playing below the underpass. Smokes go out, the master retreat, and they're going to be get a massive cross point. They're going to run down the highway and hunt for cover by security gate. Now, we saw all this pressure, and immediately, the big thing that runs to me is they had to check that orange van. They might not be too keen or too well provisioned at this late stage. 9 squads remain, and Irzo hasn't a chance. So look and survey the area, dropping in to regroup with the rest of his side. Has full access to a potential defib in the ambulance and a custom weapon drop.
A great start for him, especially now coming back. But look at it, even towards this side over here. There's just 4 teams basically sitting on top of each other. 6-7, the singular red somehow prevailing in between 2 Traversers and a whole team. Just feel like that he's being protected a little bit by the opponent team, but of course, as we can see, Wildcard, they got themselves in a bit of a tricky position. They have to move forward further, but unfortunately they're gonna run into 2 other teams, which are gonna make their rotation so much more painful. And towards their side is also just a bit of an open area. They need to move quickly and need to make sure that they use every single bit of cover that there is. So we can see the first few shots are really being done by Silver Black, but of course that's only gonna drag the attention from Akali's team, which again is just lurking around that player from 6-7 who's just sitting in a corner and waiting patiently for the numbers to go down.
I believe it's Squinty, the last standing from 6-7, so a very difficult position to be in. The zone begins to pull away from security gate as Coda's going to dive in, finds one with his SCW-10, as you'd imagine, and has to full retreat to get that plate back up. It's going to be a full push. The rest of the team want to begin to fill this position, but as Race tries to make that cross towards the pressure, he will get shot in the back. Realizing you're going to be stuck between two sides, that's a full commit, and that SVD, super stable, just trying to ring through damage best he can. Takes immediate trade-off and has to retreat once again. Smokes go out. The master of aggressive posture. And please, if he needs to try and push, is amazing. The SCW-10 now in its ideal range. Go bare knuckle brawling and needs to win his ones. Finds so much damage. Shuts down Cyborg. And now it's going to be a complete 4v1. An amazing collapse with the zone beginning to creep in. They have the information. They have the numbers. They swarm. And it will be a guaranteed squad wipe found. Mix find it. Lock it out nicely. And bring us down to 7 squads remaining. It's going to be another Traverser arriving on the scene, and it's going to be emerging in the middle of chaos. Not for long. Jude shuts it down, Gobu falls, and a horrible fight now amidst the lack of cover in this low ground.
Traverser still keeping quite a lot of these players, but inside of this team, as we can see, they're just trying to play low here. The high ground has been taken under control. We're just moving around. This is, again, great play here, but unfortunately, they are also 2 men down, so it's not quite going to help them. Traverser can take a little bit of damage, but of course it cannot withstand the whole last few minutes of this fight. This is great control and space management happening right now from the opposite team. Akali somehow managed to get himself into the building. It's a little bit of space here. He can take it away. That's a top. It's a little bit the upper hand now being gained. As you can see that the attention is now being dragged towards Akali's side. But unfortunately, they cannot stand any longer. Need to go back into reverse or even run away. It is a 2v4, and speaking of it, it might just be a 1v4 very soon. Akali running every single little bit that he has away, while the other teams are now also getting space on the other side. But this circle is just giving that high ground such a big of an advantage. Look at it.
Such an advantage to hold in these final few moments, and well, it looks like this final zone beginning to segment itself into 5 pieces of control. Buffalo want to try and make a dive in. Now, there's going to be 1 building to work with. Now, this might become a temporary POI for these teams to work with for control. It will get shredded by bombers, it will get shredded by rockets, but it will give a temporary steadfast control as the flame begins to envelop the rest of this fight. A lot of these squads wounded, down to 3, down to 2, not a lot to work with, and you have to play your numbers game perfectly. The SVDs begin to have that firing squad effect. Codas finds 1. Right's gonna fall from the midst of this, and it's gonna be a horrible position with the flames at your back and the region of your health going. You have to be super careful. Codas shreds 1, shreds 2. The SCW-10 forced to make a retreat to the squad. Has to find recovery. Is mixed down by 1.
Look at it, only 5 teams left, and we also know that there's at least 1 rat still from the other side. Now Rafe is going to be down. Buffalo going to lose 2 members. Breezy, that last man standing. It does get the defib. Great start here, but unfortunately his teammate cannot prevail any longer. Breezy still find themselves all alone now. It's Arrow Point. Some of the last full teams standing. Of course, they still have to fight against a few of these rats, and it is looking pretty good. There's one in the container. He won't find a kill though. That's a great start for them. As long as they can get Jude out, that's just going to put him in a better position. It is a 2v3 with Akali, of course, on the side as a rat. Last 3 teams, and none of them are complete. As at least from the side of Airpoint, they got themselves a teammate back up on their feet. They have the biggest advantage. But the real question is, does Akali now combine with the opponent team to maybe take down this force, or will they, or will Akali just sit in a corner and wait for his time to be the second?
I think Akali might just try and play this passive. Right, bombers go off, and Ray's gonna have to fall back. Doesn't immediately plate, so might be running low at them. And actually, he is a full shuffle of resources from his team, and it's gonna be a full charge. They're gonna have to commit to this as the building begins to get chewed up. As Akali will sit, will wait, will try and keep himself as passive as possible. But I think they know where he is. They're trying to posture up. They're trying to look for a way to hunt down Arrow Point, but the terrain works perfectly. Masks them, gives them enough cover to try and hold love this out. The first engagement's there, and Wraith finds one. That's the dream opening that they would have needed. They might bring this back to level. One more player to hunt, and Akali does get shut down, bringing it down to a simple 2 or 1v1 for these teams. Can they battle for this control's arrow point? Still holds such a dominant position as the Flame begins to force her opposition out, waiting, open jaws, and the gas is ready too. Rockets, grenades, and everything sent in as Wraith will bunker down, as Breezy loses his plates, and here comes the cavalry. Surely they sense blood in the water, and Wraith, the last man standing, not standing for long. Arrow point locked things out in what was a frantic and scrappy final zone.
Well, not standing at all. We could see at the end there, he was just completely taken out. But as we can say, really, Arrowpoint got themselves in a good positions. Luckily for them, we also must say that Buffalo, while they were trying to push down, they were taken and focused by every other single individual team. Other than that, Buffalo, they did have the upper hand. And Mark, Gibson, listen, Gibson, we had to shoot there a little bit on the USS Grand.
Look, honestly, you were talking about me not being able to find the stairs, but it was Mark, and we had to tell him to look at the, look at the ground. There's a yellow line. If you fall,
He's now muted. No one else can hear him. He's gone. Don't worry about him.
I want to talk about LeSect, right? I was so impressed, but they're the team obviously running under the name Arrowpoint. They got a top 4 finish in the first map. Another really good finish here. Almost caught out by a snake. I think it was Fallen hiding inside the dumpster. But that's 2 games in a row now that we've found them managing to live it to the late game as we kind of look through those highlights. But Mark, I'm going to say it. A lot of these French teams have come out swinging tonight. We've seen good things from Nebula. We've seen good things from LeSect. The French are playing well over the first 2 games.
Yeah, but they keep clashing against each other. That's what I find super weird. You'd expect them to work together, work their way through, but it's not going to be the case. My replay is not 100% as I want it. But anyway, we're testing things out. Sorry, I'm testing something else. Anyway, I'll fix that for... No, I won't fix that for the next game. I'll fix that for the game after. But we can do it. Yeah, back to the French teams. They seem to be stepping up a little bit. They seem to be applying pressure, which is really good to see. And most important thing for me is they stick together. You tend to find when they try to overload, they'll find an individual whippet and they'll overload as a 4 if they can, get a 3. So they're really applying pressure and I suppose mounting those guns up against a single person.
It's such a good example of just playing the numbers and kind of the Wolfpack mentality I think you need to have in a game like REDSEC. You have to be aggressive, and once you see that opportunity, you have to go full send and take it, and the French side have been so good at it. It is just unfortunate that these French teams are clashing so early, so they can't get as far as possible. They run into the perfect counterplay for them, but I love seeing teams having a very efficient method of just swarming, getting control, and taking full advantage.
Yeah, definitely felt controlled. Obviously, Zone, we saw the actual defense nexus being in for so long. I know we felt like we was at the boat for a while, but defense nexus, again, held for so long. The teams couldn't quite clear each other, but when they did, it was about who got out of defense quite early on, and they got the opportunity to hold.
They got the opportunity to hold, but at the end of the day, it was Bulldog who then just kind of deep dive with the parachutes in, got the advantage just because of that early damage that was done before the parachutes were brought out. The fact that they got themselves a little bit visible to the upper side, they have the high ground advantage throughout those windows. That was a critical point. The player, unfortunately, I do not remember exactly which player it was, but the player who stood quite close to the wall, but then was shooting up, trying to hit Breezy and take Breezy out of the game. He took more damage. He was needed to fall back to play it, and that set him up on his teammates in a 2v3 scenario, and that was the whole story done and dusted. With a slight misplay, they then got completely outskilled.
Look, Gibson, one big thing that was really different from game 1 to game 2, and both these wonderful people mentioned about it, of how slow the game was to start. I think compared to game 1, we saw a lot of action early on. We was in the urban and people were clashing. There was missions and there was third parties. It felt like match number 2 had a different tempo, especially the early game.
It wasn't that it was slow, it was just the second gun, team second gun fights where they were getting eliminated was slow. So we did have a lot of action in the early stages. Like, I think the battle for the USS Grant lasted forever. We saw Ethan die there twice. Come on, Ethan, what are you doing? There's not very many Irish people in esports. We need Ethan to do something good for us here. But we saw him die first, once with a launcher tucked in a corner as well. I saw that, Ethan. But I watched the other streams too. A lot of teams getting hyper aggressive in the first phase, and then after they die, it becomes more of a passive BR, right? You play aggressive, try to get your kills. If you take the wipe, you don't really get to choose where you drop. Usually it's just like, here's where you are, land, try and make the game happen from there. But I think it was Whippet and Die pointed out 23, 22 teams were still left alive at the halfway point of the game. So it did slow down in the mid game, but I still think we're seeing a lot of hyper aggression early game.
Look, final comments, Whippet, before we send you and Gibson to the virtual green room before we get into game number 3.
Oh, well, I certainly hope next time Gibson's on a microphone he has to deal with a full USS Grant fight. But I actually really enjoy how aggressive those teams are playing their opening life. They're going aggressive. And while I'm commented on it, I think I enjoyed that more methodical control, zonal space, and passive play towards our second life. And it was very fun to watch teams with that approach.
Yeah, it definitely was a fun. Right, Gibson, Whippet, get out of here. It's myself and Die bringing it in for game number 3. It is 3 of 6, though. We do play 6 scrims, Die. What we expect? Another USS Grant and annoying Gibson a little bit more?
Oh, I would love that. Listen, the more you can get under his skin, the more he plays better in ranked. So we're doing this basically for the good of the people, because the better Gibson plays in ranked, the more kills hopefully he's going to do himself and not just steal from me and you, Mark.
Yeah, well, we can't help it. He just can't help it. He waits for us to do all the damage, and he comes sweeping in like he's like some glory hunter. I've got all the kills. No assist, though, Gibson. Flight path, though, is going to be coming in. It's outside of the defense net, goes all the way across towards the mountains. USS Grant will be in the distance, unfortunately, and we are jumping in with Sabre. Opportunities for the gold hotspots. We need to wait and see.
Even more. Oh, look at that. That's a beautiful cam.
Love it.
I do love it.
This is why we get professional observers in, right? I tried. Terrible. Admittedly, I drew the short straw. It was day number 1. We had no idea what was going on, let alone having to press 3 buttons. Gibson thought he knew best, came in day number 2. Admittedly, Mr. Controller thinks he knows best, but that's always the case with Gibson. I gave it a little whirl under a bit of pressure, and it was rubbish. So I knew we had to make a call. Professionals in, professional standard happening. I can only apologise about Gibson.
Well, 6-7, they got themselves now onto the ground. A little bit of looting. Look at this. USS Grant is golden as always. A bit of gold as well. Broken house has been decided as well. And the radar side shall be golden as well. So, but look at this. There's actually not that many teams who's dropped in the golden swords. It's actually most of them are finding themselves towards the district area. I believe there's 5 teams in the district area.
5 teams in the district area. Maybe only 1 will survive. But the golden areas are cleared, though. MT's jumps out and comes across 2 guns, though. Gaspin has to go for that rotation round. Well, he's got the opportunity. Gets a spray on 1. Gets a spray in a second. But he clicks dry. The great swap over. The secondary will put him into the ground.
Back down with him. And as we get in goals, there's only 1 man standing. They've been wiped now. So was he still in? Apologies, that's one more play on the top. There we go. There we go. Just took a little bit longer for them, but he's finally gone. Of course, the reset and the respawn will still be helping them, but they might spawn anywhere in the map and might find themselves spawning to USS Grand, and that would be Gibson's absolute worst nightmares. We can see now 3 teams fighting now over this tiny little bit here towards district. All 3 of them quite close to each other. The real question is, especially for Surge, will they continue? Will they try to maybe third party whatever is going on in the other 2 buildings?
I love it. Parkour. Jumping across the buildings. It's one of my favourite parts of the map. Big notes for me, actually, in game number 2. The amount of traverses that we had in there. Like, people using it, one, just to get around. But even in the late game, yes, we had a few struggles. And they weren't able to get up and over the little towards but I think it was critical. Back towards the critical fights. Viper, they've got a Viper fight, though. There's 1. There's 2. And you're in the bin. Viper, you're here to stay.
That was quite quickly done, and luckily for them, the opponent team has also just left their surroundings to got themselves a clean one-on-one fight with another team, and the other team is not going to come to third party. But that's going to give them time to reset. Of course, one of the teammates needs to spawn back in, but there's a ton of loot for him to pick around and pick about. We can also see the first respawn happening quite close, which is out of district, but a real intention or real interest is going to be now towards the fence. As there are also 3 teams here too, of course, in the building. One of them towards the construction site. I believe I also just saw another 4th team on the other opponent side of construction. This could be quite juicy, depending how the other 2 teams outside of the fence are going to try to move around.
We are going to move around in a moment. to try and hold, trying to get the information. Shots will come through. Goes for the crouch saber, takes a huge amount of damage, but the numbers are there to exchange. Instead of that, obviously, will take the step up. Got to be cautious though. Gambit tries to find the angle, blows apart the wall, and that will give him the opportunity now to apply pressure. You can see Interstellar, he's using that lad to the advantage. For them, it's a bit of a standoff.
Winning, but look at this. Oh, the other two teams are moving in perfectly on the opposite side. So they're gonna have basically a whole sandwich going on too, Brett. A little bit of bacon and eggs in the middle, but my god, this one might be juicy.
Well, might be juicy. Little bacon egg Sani. Hits him there, die. Both teams, though, obviously being applied pressure on the outside. So they've got to do a 180. They've got to fight back the way they've come. They're trying to take advantage, but look at this. They're holding Wolverine. Well, they work their way. They work the angles, and they keep the pressure down. Damage is done. The knock will come through, and it's all falling apart. 1, 2, and done. See you later.
Andre was annihilated, but the other side, look at it. The two teams have just basically left the fight.
They wanted to fight each other. They wanted to fight each other, and then there were some nosy people that came in and got involved. Jog on. This is our defense. We want to fight it now out in construction.
Well, look at Wolverine. They're looking for another team. They know there must be one more here. There's a little bit of a drop as well now coming in. A bit of weapons, as I can see, superior weapons, or a little bit of defense. As the opponent team is now moving, trying to fight the other team that was originally flanked in Gambit.
Oh.
Still finding themselves here yet again, maybe in the middle of two teams. Here's the one team, Wolverine, is shooting from defense towards construction with their long-range guns, and Gambit is finding themselves face on with another team.
Yeah, a bit worried about Gambit there. The smoke wall did come out, but they've gone for a split. They've now decided to go back into it. The jump will happen, and it's a 1-2 exchange. Both of the teams losing the players, though, as they will stand up tall. Gets the spray, has to back away, gets him through the construction wall. What a play! Pressure being applied by Gambit.
But look at it, Wolverine. They found the perfect time to get themselves into a cheeky little third party. And look at that. 3 players will fall immediately with their arrival. There's only one man standing in a corner. He might find himself now ratting around, trying to survive here. But Wolverine, they're all stacked up. They've just killed an entire team, and the other one is just running away. But it does look like Kurali might just get away with this one.
We love a cheeky third party. That's the key. Do you know what I'm still waiting for? A cheeky leaderboard from Gibson. Hopefully he can get that work too in the break, though, as I can see his head popping away.
It was a live leaderboard. He did like that.
As live as it is live in Ireland. Things are a little bit slower out there. If you ask for a delivery, it might come next week. For now, the delivery will come through in the way of an exchange of the vehicle. Now we have to go for the dart. Customs will come down. As the angles, though, teams have to stack up and hold the line.
Stinger now finding against 2 teams. 2 teams in this building. Just a little bit of clutter there on the outside towards of it. They need to make sure they do watch the stairs. Unfortunately, they've just lost 3 of their players. Shots now being missed. Of course, now position is being revealed as he jumps back into the fight. Great knock, but it's not going to be a kill for him. On the other side, Hunter, or Team Mena, on the other side, one can say. Found themselves back up onto 3 players. One of them now respawning back in, but there is still this other team in there. All 4 of them are alive. This is going to be a bit of a struggle.
Initial shots, though, catching him in the air. There's be a struggle. The gas goes back, so both these teams using the same options when it comes down to the gas versus the bomber. Hunter have to try and work their way through this, as unfortunately for them, they are now on the outside edge. But let's just take an opportunity just to get reset here, get those plates back on, and get those bombers and gas reloaded.
Reloading those plates, of course. Zono's also coming in. They do know that the slower they play this, the more pressure there will be on Team Mena. Zono's gonna start burning up. And we might have a bit of a barbecue going on very quickly if they do not move out of this house. Of course, the custom makes it also much more attractive to just quickly stay here, finish that fight, and get themselves those guns. That is depending if they do not already have the custom on. There we got the first fight, or the first kill of this fight has been decided. He found himself quite alone. Team Mena not pushing forward. The zone pressing them into going forwards. But there's so many bullets running. They're looking for just a tiny bit of cover. And from the looks of it, only one player has successfully managed to get himself behind the team of Hunter.
And he just run past him. He just ran past him. He looked at him and went, "Nah, mate, I'm not giving you the point. I'm running to my doom." He died by the fire. And the fire claims all in Battlefield.
The barbecue.
He got barbecued. He got a cheeky sandwich. That's what it was. It was a bacon egg sandwich.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen.
Make me
Sure,
hungry,
I
mate.
agree.
I didn't dinner number 2. Get me a bacon egg side, you love. I need a bacon and egg. Hopefully she heard me. Hopefully the wife will bring that up. We'll wait and see. Bulldog, aka 6-7. They got the bite. As they've now got a sniff. They've got a scent. The storm is fully on the run. They're trying to put enough distance between them, but they're going to be cautious. They're putting themselves closer and closer to multiple teams, and they might become that Philip.
Might just become that third-party team, of course, depending where the attention goes. Team Unicorn. Great name.
Nay.
Decided by the game. It's now by themselves in the middle. Yeah, again, maybe we have a bit of an order right now established. I'm just gonna keep naming food so you get hungry. And
You're making me hungry, mate.
I don't know what my goal is at the end of the day, but
I have to get cheeky takeaway. Anyway, we'll work.
cheeky takeaway.
It went on the order. We'll say good utility being used. Unicorn is on the hold. The ghoul's not been spotted. I'm not quite sure at the moment. It has to put the smoke out. Definitely knows the information now, as obviously the third party comes on the other side. But the zone applying the pressure, as we now see. There are 18 teams, 60 players remain. And the line, if by hell, Jesus, is being underway. He defies the water.
Oh. Way too quickly gone, and Dustin,
Oh.
nothing they can do. Never mind. Hit back
Jesus.
down. Another one
Jesus.
will fall. Oh, God. Golden mark.
It's gone,
Well,
mate.
that was quite quickly.
Thought he was going to hold the
6-7.
line.
Since 6-7, and there's a reason why I like 6-7. I think they've just proven my point. Of course, there's a few more teams maybe for them to pick up along the way. The real question is, can they succeed? BD on the other side, they're moving closer towards the fence. Of course, there's a bus station only, but there's already a team waiting for them. A 6-7 is just overseeing the distance. And they do find themselves their back being completely cleared. Look at that. There's so many teams just lurking around that construction site. That could be a hell of a fight soon starting.
Yeah, they're sweeping the outside edge. They get the clear run. Shots will come through. Bump on the other side, forcing the players out. It's not just one. It's 2 and it's 3. One already knocked out of pressure. Continue with life. Finds another opportunity as it's 2 for 2. Reload, reposition, head to head and looking for the third.
Looking for more kills. And there we go. They got it. The defense will be there immediately as well. Meaning they got themselves that space under control. Likely for them. Especially likely for the opponent team. One of them managed to get out. And is running away, but the real question is, has he been seen? That the opponent team is already into construction. Again, there's quite a few teams there. As we now shift our attention towards another fight on the other side of the zone. There's also 2 teams here. One of them has already been harmed, this I believe. I can only see 3 players on the mini map. Never mind, we're back to construction. God damn, we're switching around.
Bad play though. Bad play. They go back their way. They jeep in. Squad wipe will happen. 4 kills in the board. 15 now remain. 47 players. Is everyone struggling to fight for position. I think after this phase we get a little bit of space, a little bit of a reset. But for now, Dictator, well, he's looking to try and dictate the value that he can bring to the team. He puts another one in the dust.
Oh my god, look at that. Oh, quite quickly Dictator will find one more. But of course he's looking for
Loot now.
kills.
Gibson, where's he looting now? There's a fight to be had.
Listen, that's just Gibson behavior. Maybe, oh, he's been maybe been too much in contact with the dear Gibson.
Yeah,
He's a
Gibson
bad
got
influence.
he got
He's a
caught
bad
hiding the
influence.
other day on a stream. It was quite funny, to be fair. Maybe he was
Was he
looting.
ratting?
He might have been looting. He might have been looting. For now, stays alive. The Dictator needs a plate. Will be shared out. Ironside again. Talk about that little space that they can get, but they do have a rat amongst the mist. I don't know if they fully know of this one. They go for the jump. They make them move out, and there's a player right behind them, so they've got to be careful. The trigger discipline has to be strong.
Really has to be real strong here, but he does not a second issue to find himself in a bit of a disadvantage. Of course, there's a few more teams now rotating around. It really just comes down who has the advantage in that end circle. Great. Oh, beautiful cover. Look at that. Beneath the truck, laying down. And he's also And a really good spot there. He has a lot around to move, but look at here, the cluster of teams. I believe there's a rat amongst them somewhere sitting in that building. He's not going to know what's going to happen to him. Well, there's 2 more teams and a third party also waiting on the hill already.
Damage is being done pretty fast here. Have to be careful. Now for a couple of smokes, gives an opportunity to close the gap. That's an open terrain to get through just on the outside edge of construction. But look at all these teams. Again, they're duking for the position. The west, though, is overcrowded.
One more rat. This is great rat play. Beautiful play right there. He knows he's not allowed to move a single inch, but look at the teams. Especially Ironside. They're in a great position, right? They are this third-party team. They are the team gatekeeper right now. They could get away with a lot of kills, but they need to play it safe because they're the only team who can keep these teams in a box. It just puts a huge target on their back. You know, one common enemy might just be the best way here for the 3 teams that are trying to move out of construction, especially Team Mena. They're still in the building, but the fire's coming close. The rat also needs to move. This is going to be a cluster of teams yet again, but look at what's happening. No going down, and Ironside will be the team to prevail as for right now. Mena will have 2. The rat will stay strong, but Ironside is looking for more kills.
Yeah, good. They've got to get moving, but there's a sea of people in here. They've got to be cautious, though. Dictator goes for the jump up. There goes the slide through. They should get a 2 versus 1 in that position, so they get the better advantage, though. Numbers will fall again for Ironside, though. They are holding because iron doesn't melt on this fire.
Themselves out. I'm a bit confused. There's too many red points. Is that a singular man, or is that a man too far away from his team?
I think it's a man like me, a man off my own heart, charging ahead and forgetting about everyone else and dying and blaming everything else. Traverser, well, it will give the opportunity to get back to tighten the grip on the rest of the zone. But when there's an opportunity to get a quick kill like that, you jump out, you take advantage. 1, 2, back in. But you can't just use the reverser. Use it as a run over. The spray will go through. It's an up and down, and there we go. Points converted. 9 teams remain, but 22 on left on the battlefield.
Look at another team, and also in the meanwhile, he got himself back in the car. And look at this, the middle of the zone. Nobody is in there. Nobody's contesting it. Everybody's just on the edge. Of course, that puts him in the middle of the center attention. You never want to be in that position, but it also gives you the most covers. We can see 6, 7 have not completely been eliminated. As far as my knowledge, 1 more will fall. And Ironside currently looking, in my opinion, like the strongest team yet. They've been going really heavily on these kills. And of course, with all the utility that they have, just puts them into a more dangerous position. But this uphill battle right now is going to be the dangerous bit. Of course, also Saber. It's not a really strong team, but they're coming in from the lower end of this building. But they've made their way slowly towards the middle of the zone. Again, being one of the few teams finally claiming a bit of space here into that building. That'll just put them onto a great position.
I've got to give you some credit, mate. You run me over in a helicopter the other day. So they are looking pretty strong here. Screams, 8k. There must be a loud scream now as he will charge his way forward. Gets a good amount of damage done. Doesn't quite get the knock and goes for the recharge after the reload. Isolates the 1, the jump back and forward. And it's a back, forward and Robin, but the ping pong falls down. The Megalodon, well, they find safety. They find the hard cover. They find the opportunity, but they got to clean the final player lurking in the corner. And the third party coming on the south side.
There's only 5 teams remaining, and there's still, as you said, just 1 more player in that building waiting patiently. And again, look at Ironside. They're just playing this really slow, still on the edge of the zone. There's still 1 more spawn coming in. 2 people from Buffalo, especially Breezy's back into the game. As he is the support class. I do not know as he can survive. Beautiful nade. Don't get rid of 2 whole players. It's a whole squad wiped. Leaves us with 4 remaining, and from the looks of it, every single team is all up to 4 players. This might just be the juiciest one yet.
No more Buffalo Soldier remaining. They've been barbecued. Ironside, they will go for the hold now. Again, using the ability with the gadgets just to scout. Use the heat signatures. They will come over the ridgeline. Nothing been gained, nothing been given away. But all these teams should have a little bit of a standoff just before we get pushed a little bit closer.
Want to get even more information. He does now see a tiny bit of players on the right side. Luckily for them, they do have a bit of cover to play with. Of course, not that much, but these trees and the rocks will help. Hug the bush line, that's what I always do. So, yeah. Sometimes you just gotta pray nobody sees you on the bushes, but Of course, now there's strikes also coming in from up above. The buildings in the middle are gonna be destroyed, so they're no longer safe to play. It's really gonna be the high ground advantage here. Ironside have the biggest control of the map. Look at this. There's also 3 teams just hugging onto together all around these cars and these walls of the buildings. This might just go down any second again. 4 teams, and look at the circle size. It's basically the end circle.
Actually, it is the end circle. 4 teams remain. The Traverser keeping that building together with duct tape. They all try and hold for as long as they can, but it's difficult. We have to get the gauntlet run. We have to run the 100-meter dart across the road. But every team now, knowing there's no safety in the circle, they have to play the outside edge.
So, but in a great position. They have a little bit of this lower end of the hill. That gives them a bit of cover. Ironside on the other side, they are on the upper side of the hill. That means high ground advantage for them, and they can play with this building. What is still left of it, as you said, duct tape is really keeping this one close. They do gotta be careful. There's a team in that building still standing strong and waiting, but as the first push coming in, Saber, they're gonna be going on to the side of Buffalo, gonna try to claim that spot as theirs. They're gonna be successful as quite quickly. Defib back up on their feet. There's still 4 players, but it seems like there's a small rat amongst them. Somewhere there's a rat running around. He does manage to get all the way into the building. He got himself in a great position right there. Inside again, still in, my opinion, the best position as for right now. The most space and the most cover.
He's relying. He's waiting for people to fight, and that kind of might be able to get the additional placement points at the moment. Not happened just yet. No, now we go to 3 teams. Has been found out. Has to dart back on the other side. The Traverser being a key part of this, though, is it doesn't have to take too much damage. It works its way in slowly. But at any time, this team can jump out and cause some problems. As the Dictator goes for a jump shot. Gets the spray. It's one. It's not got a connection, but a second will fall.
They're doing quite a lot of damage. But there's also now the Sharks with the Traverser coming in. On the other side, they have the most space right now. Also a little bit of coverage as they're trying to move into the other opponent team. Ironside in a bit of a problematic position. They need to find a way to get through here. Again, look at the damage. There's only 3 teams remaining. The defibs also now coming through. A great position for them as they can just deal with the problems, but they find themselves 2 men down, and it's gonna be the Sharks at the end of the day. We're gonna claim this victory. Great play with the Traverse, as you said it. It gives them a lot of cover, and if really it gets too much, they can just jump in and go for a ride.
They can just jump in and go for a ride. It's not just a Shark, boys. It's a Megalodon that takes the victory. Gibson, what a game number 3.
Yeah, really good. A couple of the teams that we saw dominate the earlier games are going to go down. What?
Fine, Gibson. Whip here. It's not just a Shark. It's a Megalodon that takes game number 3.
I was speaking. The chat could hear it, but you guys couldn't. That's all it was.
No,
Well, you know what,
definitely
Gibson,
couldn't.
give us a repeat.
Yeah.
Give us a repeat of it.
Honestly, I'm impressed. Megalodon did a fantastic job, but a couple of the big dogs going down early, like we saw 6-7 get deleted. But the thing that surprised me is how... Yeah.
Look at his face.
The thing that surprised me, though, was the fact that we finished 2 maps in a row. What, 20 meters away from each other? Just a little bit further south on Linden was game 1. So 2 games that have finished pretty close together, but completely different teams alive when we got to that point.
Pacing was very different as well, I felt. Again, we saw a lot more third parties whip it, especially around that kind of defense network. It was really interesting. We had this kind of standoff between 2 teams, but 2 other teams had an opportunity to come in for the third party. So a lot of teams taking advantage where maybe tunnel vision is getting the better of a few of our players.
I feel like I worry about these teams when it's easy for us, right? We can see on the map overlay where teams are lurking and we have that information. And I think teams do focus a lot on closing out fights, but when you make this much noise and you're in such a high traffic area, you have to be ready and aware for that third party. But the timings have been amazing. Every time a team crashes in, they've had great success. And you got to give credit for the teams on the third party. It might be a tactic that's frustrating to be victim to, but it takes real timing to realize now's the moment to go, seize the day, and they were very effective in this match.
Gibson, I can't ask Di this because I know she's biased, but 6-7, is this a team which is the closest to actually contending against a TBA? I know they're not in here, and I know when you add kind of the likes of them into this lobby, it changes the dynamic. But from what I'm seeing and how they get into mid-game, late game, the amount of fights they're taking, it feels like a team that's maybe on the trajectory to be competing at the top level.
Yeah, I think if we were to tier list out all the teams that we've seen over the last few weeks, you'd obviously have TBA at the top, and then just below them and A. So TBA would be S tier, A tier would be 6-7 on the field at this moment in time. I want to see the two teams in the same lobby a little bit more often before we can get a real comparison of like for like. But there's a lot of teams I think that are knocking on that A tier list, right? Team Nebula, they get their points a different way. Like, I think we'll all agree Team Nebula come across as a team that play for the late game. You know, they're trying to get those placement points as opposed to kill points. And I want to say tonight, Lesect have really upped in my estimations quite a bit. Obviously, Jude's come in as a sub, taken over, I think, from the IGL. Hasn't a clue what they're saying because they're speaking in French and he doesn't speak it. But either way, he's having a good day.
He's definitely having a good day. Let's talk about some of these French teams because we have quite a few of them obviously in there. And we spoke obviously in the last rate that they tend to be aggressive, but they keep clashing against each other. And we saw it again in, I suppose, very quickly in the midst of that game.
Absolutely. And again, listen, I was already told that if I say a French player's name wrong, they will riot against me. So I'm just gonna,
What player was that? What player?
Great statement, Mark. Really, I agree with you, Mark. But listen, a great game. I don't want a whole nation rioting against me. that's my stay. I was warned, and I will keep the warning.
I don't think there's ever been a French person who's disliked an Austrian ever. I don't know. Anyways, moving on.
We're starting now, Gibson. How are we getting on the leaderboard? Because I do want to talk about placement points. While you go look for the leaderboard, let's talk to Whippet. I feel like everyone's hunting for kills. There isn't a real focus or fixation on actually getting the win too late. Well, not at the moment. I think the closer we get to an event, especially a 10K that is coming up in the wings, teams need to focus actually more about getting those placement points. Does that slow the game down in that mid-pack, or do we see them go a bit more aggressive?
I think it might even have the effect of slowing down the early game. Right now, I think we see teams being more willing to be super flexible and aggressive and chasing down those kills. But how many times does it happen where a team gets fully wiped on an early pick and then they've reset in a horrible position in the middle of a fight already and they find themselves kind of already scrapping to get there? So I think as teams begin to figure out the flow and maybe even develop their own drops positions, we might see that that early game really slow down. Teams not wanting to chase the kill points, not wanting to burn their second life, and using it more of a get out of jail free card towards the mid game before it's disabled, instead of using it as a let's go farm some points and get ourselves back in and play the game from our second life point.
Definitely feels like kill points at the moment, Gibson. Come on, you're the Battle Royale guy as well. Do drop spots become a thing in this? I know maybe we see in other titles we have predetermined drop spots and then agreements to try and get down and get loot first for gaming. I can't see it in REDSEC. I think part of the early game is taking that head-to-head fight early on.
I think it comes down to the DNA and the makeup of the team, right? I think a lot of teams that come from the PUBG world will revert back to those default spots. Like we pointed out earlier, triple is the spot where TBA are going to drop. You will see teams that will usually drop on either Nexus or Golf Course. And I think that those teams will stick there no matter what, but then we'll see a more flexible side where teams are just going to drop where the gold zones are or where they think the helicopter path leads to them both. I think we're going to end up in a hybrid world. I think this game is going to be hybrid where you will have teams that have their set drop spots and then there's teams that are going to adapt and overcome based on where the goal zones in the circle are.
Well, we're going to have to go to a hybrid world pretty quickly because me and Di, we're going to go to the green room. Whippet, Gibson. It's game time, baby.
What? But I've been waiting on this all night so I could annoy you for 22 minutes straight. Game number 4. We're about to jump on into the battlefield. And Whippet, so far, so good for all the French teams tonight. And I know you love the French.
Listen, Gibson, it seems like a curse. For a bit of backstory, every time I travel somewhere, I always run into a French person. But perhaps you should mention a French observer is in the lobby today, and surely the French teams have woken up to that one. They want to show off in front of their fellow countrymen this time around. But Gibson, looking at it, obviously we've seen the goal zones be the primary active point all day long. You reckon that trend's going to continue today?
Yeah, it is.
This game?
It is, Whippet. I think there's no doubt about it. Like, teams are going to drop there because it means that you get looted far quicker, you get into the fight earlier. And part of the dropping there, too, is because you want the fight. Those gold zones create points of contest on the map where teams see the ability to pick up points. We talk about, it's not like regular rank REDSEC where your points, like, multiply as the game goes on. But if you can drop early, get 2 or 3 kills, even if your squad is wiped and you're forced to drop somewhere else, that's 2 or 3 points in the bag already.
Big benefit. And of course, when we get towards like the late game of the competitions and events, you gotta imagine that those kind of extra few points could be a major difference for these sides. It could be a very narrow margin indeed. As we look to dive into action, it does look downtown boutique gonna be very active, gold zone, and every time we've seen the city get occupied by a gold zone, the fight seems to be eternal, never ending.
Yeah, and they're seeing 6-7 just on the ground, shotgun at the ready. That DBS, or as I like to call it, the dirty big shotgun, will be used by Avra. Dips in below, diving into cover, takes a bit more damage, but as they push aggressively in towards parking lot, Squinty wants to take ground, but great covering fire whip it, but pushing aggressively. Four Mice is going to walk on in, and the French will get one on the gold mic, but instantly traded and flushed.
Great flush out, great trade, and these shotguns in the close quarter fight's going to be very difficult on the ground floor for these teams to deal with. Now, if anyone gets 00 buck, you'll be very happy with it. You're not able to get that revive, and just looking for whatever they can gather at this stage. Traverser in play, high ground gathered by one side. Wraith and Cultists have that access at this stage. Going to be great loot they can work with, and hopefully for them, they can get themselves something with a DMR behind it, or a little bit more damage. Great shots from above, but not able to convert that into a knock or a flush just yet, and Avra just about makes it into cover.
Yeah, they're going to stack up together in one big push as Wraith will send the bombas down, giving up the high ground. He's going to try to backfill now with a shotgun, having dealt a lot of damage on the shotgun. The S12K fires off a couple of shots in quick succession, not getting the knock at the first time of asking. Second time's going to be good. Flips on over, and 6-7 on the field, or 6-7 back in the sky, because they're going to have to drop in once more.
6-7 get fully reset, and that's going to be a huge one. The shotgun just bursting them down. So much damage potential with the semi-automatic shotguns in this game. Not going to be the ideal thing you want to bring to most situations, but in the early game like this, shreds through 6-7. Wraith making a great play the backfield, conceding the high ground and pushing in for that control. But you think the action in downtown is over? Of course it's not. We'll hop on board here with Arrow Point. Erzo leading that charge, hunting this green opposition just around the corner. P91 unleash a hail of bullets, but he does not last too long, as it's going to be Wraith seeing a chance to die for a third party with blood in the water, as Jude will get one. Little Jesus falls elsewhere as Wraith collects one of his own, and the third party is well and truly in effect.
Yeah, this is really good third partying as teams realize points are there to be had, as now Gosu and BZ and Wraith, having won the battle with 6-7, are now hunting down to deal with that final player left alive for LEDSEC. And elsewhere, we can see a push aggressively to try to backfill as Viper. They want to get involved now. Nobody's Jolene are going to move on it, and I don't think that they have any clue they're getting backfilled. Well, they definitely do now.
They have to know as this pressure begins to fill in. It's going to be a horrible fight, stuck in the middle with that low ground, with high ground looking all the way down towards you, relying on cars and whatever death lane you can find yourself in. Great shots as Donut has to fall back. Worried about getting himself knocked out of position. Mid-replay, he looks for information, takes even more damage. His teammates try and cut off that cross, but this open shop front's going to have so much exposure, opting to do the right thing and fall back into a more concealed position, Gibson.
Yeah, and they're going to use the ladder to create a head glitch now as they look on up, and with that smoke strike, they'll close the ground, realizing they could not take the fight from the open, so they want to bring it a little bit closer and personal. Big winner from that, though, of course, will be LEDSEC, who managed, I believe, to get on out of dodge while that was going on, but pushing aggressively. You can see they've taken control of the high ground. The roles have been completely reversed, and Donut will take down Gosu. This ain't looking good.
Difficult fight with the hip fire. It's going to be a difficult one, but eventually, Lizzie gets it done. Just about. Depletes the magazine and effort for it. Wraith has been a playmaker, it feels, in this entire fight. And that one lonesome purple dot will make a full retreat, getting out of the golden zone as Donut, the last standing for his team at this stage. Buffalo squad, though, in a great position. They've got some redeploys left on them. 3 bodies who are still up and active have their second life. I don't believe we're yet to see a team take a full wipeout, Gibson.
No, 24 squads left alive inside the lobby. I think that's how many we loaded in with. I do think it's worth pointing out as well the decision making on weapons, taking the shotgun in downtown because of the close quarters combat. Elsewhere though, up by Crash Site, we're on board with Warlock as they start pushing over towards Saber, who managed to make it into the late game last time around. They're the defensive team with it. Sometimes there's something to be said about the team that's holding the line, but a good bomba, this building starts to crumble and then you can push.
not opting to sit and play the defense, realizing they have a chance to try and push the aggressive side of things, but it might just be a complete role reversal, a full retreat across the road into their own building, and now we're kind of resetting the roles with an aggressive push having to get taken by Saber at this time. They've got some boxes to replenish any lost plates at this moment, and the shotgun calling out like a Green Goblin mask that I saw out there. He'll get to the high ground using the ladder, perfect use of the mobility the assault class brings, but now surveying to see what they can find and where these bombers can land.
Launcher in the back pocket as well, in
behind.
case it is needed. Yeah, there's a third party coming on in. Dictator moving from golf course alongside Soupy, not in a helicopter like they normally do when they're pushing us inside rank, but instead sneaking up on ground, and that's going to force Saber back into the same position. Well, but they just want to do their damn mission. They just want their customs, but they're not being given the chance to with all this action happening in Crash Site.
I wonder though, is this going to be the option of the third party arriving on the scene? Will this be the moment where they can fall back, get their mission set up, and begin to stock themselves up for their customs? Looks like they're opting to stay a little bit longer, hoping some action arrives to pick up some kills in that collection, but nothing happening just yet. Unsure what squad's just been wiped out.
A squad. We lost a
One of them.
squad.
We've lost
Yep.
two.
Someday we'll find out who they are, but today is not that day as we watch Saber moving their way further into the southern side of that crash site. You can see that still pushing above is Soupy on the other side of that crashed plane, and I'm kind of surprised that we didn't get more aggression. And well, but I feel like a week ago we would have seen these teams throw everything into those fights, but we're starting to see that more tactical play. But we'll pick up on that point later because we have another fight kicking off here.
Fights in these buildings can be frantic, and it really coming down to just quickness of reaction. PP19 shreds through one. Inspector gets claimed, and it's going to be a full surge. A building being swarmed and completely overrun. They have to be careful not to over-engage at this stage with these close-quarter weapons like SCWs who make quick work of anybody. He'll get himself stuck in the bathroom, looking to try and hold on. What could go do as he gets absolutely melted, shredded in the bathroom all by himself, and he'll fall.
Should have locked the door. Should have locked the door when you go to the bathroom. That's a lesson for everyone at home going forward. But they managed to win the house on the win the battle on the house on the strip as we begin to phase our way on over. LFTs, Dan here, Field Logic. He is just playing on the edge. Team seem to be a little bit further away from his position, and he is kind of flying it solo for now. But the Firestorm, the Valley, giving him a lot of cover as he closes the ground towards the toilets.
Lots of teams just in this massive complex. Flying out towards the edge of the zone and pressure beginning to arrive. And Kai has to be very careful to not get out of position for rest of his side. One of his teammates a little bit farther behind the pace of play. And Viper Squad deciding to split up and try and fight on multiple fronts. Gets a great pivot around, but not enough damage. The P90 does not have the bite to match the bark, but maybe the RPK does, just about escaping, and a second body will get cracked, but no one's being downed except for his teammate. Huge potential for damage, not taken full advantage of.
Great use of the toxic gas to back them off just a little bit as well, but I think that his decision making on who to fire upon wasn't quite the best, as he had a player cracked but instead focused on the player on the tree. But still, there's no opportunity to take a breath, there's no opportunity to slow down as they'll continue to bring this fight. And as you push deeper and deeper towards them with it, you're forcing by proxy that third party, and all of a sudden we could see Vorn and Co as the sandwich in the meat filling. His Team Nebula don't want any of this action, but they get caught out by Brother as he is going to get felled. Stinger sending Vorn up the stairs, and it's a good trade.
Don't know if they had the chance to get that defib off, but a massive trade out. That's going to be the difficulty of fighting in these urban complexes. If you walk upstairs to try and find more concealment, you might be walking into a trap. Goat will do his best to escape. He'll try and get those hooves clopping away, but unfortunately the hunt is on. And this will be a horrible experience, but I do think he might have done enough in the midst of all this chaos to just about slip away.
Yeah, Team Nebula still on the hunt. Govu turns the wrong way. He's going to get caught out by Corrali, and he will get knocked. It looks like Inertia. He's been able to find the running away Goat Mac as all these teams begin to convalesce on top of each other. Tub will be deployed to give a bit of information on anybody moving around. But again, this fight is just so oppressive with it. Long corridors if you step out on, everyone can see. So teams are just trying to naturally funnel out into these rooms and use the balconies to get on the move.
Not going to be easy though with the bombers being so prevalent. It's going to be great damage done, but not enough to pick up. It's a single player who dashed through those doors, got away with a single point. But I do think it's going to be a moment for these teams and us to begin to catch our breath. Govu just kind of keeping it passive, just waiting, not wanting to reveal his position and overextend his intentions at this stage. As he mentioned, it's going to be so many footsteps heard, and a single motion sensor could be an unraveling of many squads, but a massive artillery strike's being called in the middle of this, and this might begin to form teams in the death balls, as anyone in concealment has to leave it soon, and it will be one of those horrible fights upstairs. They've donuts, Shreds 2-1, and might even have found a team wipe in the midst of it.
Yeah, Corrali will pick up that kill on the donut, though, trading him back almost instantly as we lost El Marto. Pacur, Govu steps on out with a CZ from his hidden position, manages to get one and a second as nobody, Jolene, is going to get felled. That CZ and this close quarter combat becomes an absolute unit of a weapon. SCW in the hands of Inertia, I believe, on the other side. That thing is also a terror, and I think Govu, Akali will get on the move. I think Govu might be in tow. And I think this is the right decision, but get on out of there. Don't waste any more time inside of Marina and play to either get that redeploy, get the revive, and just live to fight another day. And yeah, they're going to go for that redeploy, and they can use the Traverser as great cover here.
And that's exactly what they'll do. They can just tow it on and try and use it for as much cover as possible. Unfortunately, with the forced class layouts guaranteeing there'll be engineers, it means it's going to be super susceptible to those RPGs. And now, with an engineer of their own, they can use it to get those repairs, but it's just going to be a massive beacon calling all attention towards them. If you've got a rocket, an RPG, or sabotage close enough, they might try to dive on in, but it looks like going to be left uncontested in just a few moments.
Yeah, the team on the ridgeline overlooking Marina actually becoming their allies at this point, because if they want to push over from Marina itself to stop the redeploy, the team on top are going to get great angles. So good use of the Traverser for cover on one side. Team Nebula, who we know like to play for the late game, should be back up to a 4, and we'll see 2 players dropping back in a little bit later. Elsewhere though, when Teller gets some nice shots onto Avra, 6-7 on the field, having lost the Battle of Downtown earlier, find themselves now just by apartments, moving their way in. And I like this position 6-7 run, because there's nobody in a real position to backfill them. They'll be the ones backfilling other teams.
Still, so many teams remain and such little space to work with. Kind of giving me a little flashbacks to some of the zones we saw last week on Friday. Being a very dense, very urban, lots of buildings, and this kind of continuous chase of teams going building to building, floor to floor, hunting after each other, holding on and trying to play these dominant positions, these high grounds, for as long as possible. BD does spot out one, and Court's going to try and stare down towards that staircase with his own SVD. Not able to find damage from it, and this is going to be the horrible state of these buildings as destruction begins to chew through them from from missiles, artillery, and airstrikes. Cover becomes a premium, and bombs as well don't make it any easier for the teams trying to bunker up. As Soupy finding it very, very tight for space.
Yeah, Try Again's going to get down by the Firestorm. He got a little bit too close for comfort there. That's going to force to go for that revive. The Wellswears, the rest of Try Again, aka Ironside, are going to get on the move. Soupy with that DMR, the SVDM, hitting hard twice, managing to get that opening knock and flush. Triple H is going to fall as well. Mena are getting torn apart at the seams, and you can see it. Ironside, the fire at their backs. You'll see X-Sides fall, and that might just be all she wrote for Try Again, as we turn our attention down to Pachems and the rest of Castle. I got the update, by the way. PRZ Pachems. That's how we say that name.
Honestly, Gibson, you are the guy to be able to get us all the pronunciations when we need them. And it's going to be men aside, though, and the issue is here comes a third-party pressure. They've got the high ground in one of the buildings, running to the back alleyways, looking for a way to open up this fight. The MP9 or MP5 not going to be great in that position and get shredded, unfortunately. The SG, ideal for brawling, caught mid-plate, has to try and support his teammate, shreds it. And Mena in a great job controlling the fight, but up on the umbrella, he'll get one. And on the Moby, shut down very quickly. Great play from Gambit.
Yeah, 2 versus 1 now, as Yaji is the last player standing for the side. He's got the assault class with a toxic canister, so he'll just try to live as long as he can on the fire, but you can see his health just ticking down lower and lower the longer he stays by the fire. Vaults on over, begins to take ground, but this is a firing squad. Like, he needs to find something to play with it, with 12 teams still alive, and he's going to start getting fired upon from down inside Marina.
This is just going to be a nightmare position. He's going to get gassed out as well. His HP begins to chip away, and there's very little he can do. He does get a nice little regen boost on the assault class, but with a cloud of toxic gas to his front and the flames beginning to envelop him, he's forced to make a very exposed dash to cover with so many SVDs available in the late game stage right now with no plates. Well, one plate to his name. I don't think he's going to last too much longer, and just about, though, doesn't make the cover. A bolty from Annie shuts him down, and then it'll fall. They get wiped out, leaving us, Gibson, with our final top 10.
Nice shots from the PSR as we turn our attention over to Mix, moving in towards Paraplay Greeks, which are, by the way, the awesome koalas pushing Yetis. That is the team name. Whether or not you use it, it is completely up to you. I, for one, will you put full respect on that team name? Awesome koalas pushing Yetis.
To be honest, it's going to be a bit of a mouthful. I can't lie to be able to pull that one off. There's another bolt action kill, though. Gandalf will get knocked out from it. And this is going to be the interesting play with these buildings. On the middle of the zone, fighting for control. Great rocket goes deep as well, finding some flesh damage, burning away a plate. And BD just looking for as much control as they can. Every single player who gets exposed from the building across to them will get punished with these rockets and these SVD shots. Unfortunate not to find a knockout this stage. And well, there's your final land survey for how things play. One Moby in action, and every team has found themselves a building except our only team of yellow playing on the edge of zone.
Yeah, toxic canister sent on it as they tried to force it away. Team Nebula got the redeploy, but really have their backs against the wall. The engineer at this stage of the game with that launcher will completely immobilize that traverser for now. It explodes. Then we're going to see the KTS at action. Gavu takes a ton of damage but manages to force his way close to the wall, but then Gosu finds him. Team Nebula have been wiped. 8 teams left alive as Monarch here on the side of, I believe it is... I had the team name Brain Dead. Brain Dead, by the way, which is what I am sometimes when I try play this game. But Captain Slayer, what a shift it is for them. It's just a shame they've got noisy neighbors in 6-7 above them.
Just know I've done the hand gesture, but for all these sides, the zone's pulled towards them, leaving a lot of the opposition very high and dry. The rocket can't chew through the side of that building, and the splash damage not going to be deep enough. They'll only reveal their position at this stage. The SG... a full hipfire CQB build is completely ready to work as Bomber's ready, decisions being made, ammo restocked. But I think for Brain Dead, the right play is to sit, bide your time, and play reactive to what happens around you.
Yeah, I see a KTS revolver loadout as they don't quite have everything they need, but if you win one gunfight, you get yourself set up as we watch onboard Brain Dead beginning to make their move. They see Kinstar off in the distance, but they gotta be careful as Pachems and the rest of the Polish Eagles are just above them. You can see this building has taken an absolute beating so far. Vindicators Dazio tucked up close to the wall, and Teller's going to be the point man on the fight. Head's going to get revealed. They step on board. They get the first knock, and it's an instant flush. Pushing on once more. When will the Polish Eagles push on down to third party? We see an attempted defib be pulled off there on the edge. Iowa's going to get one as he steps around. Cortisol, he gets the wipe, and down falls the roster. Polish Eagles not electing to get involved just yet.
A massive moment though, the rubber with the C4 engages in that fight, throwing a C4 in the midst of the melee and finding huge investment from it. Great job and a great read of the combat indeed. Now, that brings us to our final 5. Not a lot of building space still to work with. The zone begins to move towards the middle of this complex. Whoever has the strongest nerve will get rewarded for it. And we're back to our standoff, staring down below. Motion sensors detect them, as you mentioned. There's some definitely noisy neighbors. The pit stares back and maybe a chance to drop down and play aggressive, but they'll hold the high ground, wait for a rotation, and everything begins to set up for our final engagement as only 4 squads remain.
Brain Dead making their move. They're phasing their way up to the stairs. There's 3 players alive for the Polish Eagles. They lost Pachems a little bit earlier, so Caspian and co will need to hold the high ground. The Firestorm getting closer and closer, 12 meters away, and this is all going to favor the team on the opposite side. Caspian, he goes to make a play. Hipfires, manages to find one with the SCW as Monarch is going to fall. You can see it's a full collapse now from the top floor. Caspian is low. He needs to place. Mitz is going to get caught out as he moves. The midst of the madness sees him fall as Leviathan, still with 2 players alive, but Cortisol with 1 HP is going to fall.
Horrible fight. The zone begins to envelop and will try and stick a revive. He'll drag his teammate through the midst of the inferno and should be able and is able to recover it. But as the Megalodons will sense blood in the water, they will wait. They will lurk as there's gonna be 2 wounded teams away from them. They'll find some opportunity to get some damage. One player falls. Brain Dead suffer yet another casualty as the full might of Megalodon are locked out. But Rubber, who had a huge run with a C4 earlier, will be a snake waiting to strike. The Venom is strong. He lurks and finds 1. Can't make it 2. And it will be Megalodon to lock it out and take overall victory here at this map.
He waited, Rubber waited, he thought the opportunity was there to get the win, but in the end, Megalodon really showing their teeth. And, you know, Mark, that's an animal that has been extinct for a long, long time, but the comeback here tonight's been real.
Comeback has been real. Rubber to Rowe didn't get the victory, but you're right, he had the right timing and get over the top. Megalodon, look, for me, it was a strong play. They had the area, and more importantly, they didn't get involved in the big urban fighting. So many teams obviously on top of each other. We saw it kind of erupt at a kind of time dive, but for the team that sat on the outside edge, they waited and they got the win. Yeah, back-to-back victories for them, so they will take game 3 and game 4. C4 play though, Whippet, was nice to see. Obviously, Castles were on top of the building. There's a pun there somewhere I can't dig out at the moment, but it was the C4 player that came in at the right time. The push got shoved out, and then they got engulfed by the flames.
It's super opportunistic to see how many times you even pick up a Z4, yet alone have the time to use it. But maybe it might open some eyes, especially in a deep urban fight like this. If you're going to be able to dive to a very close quarters third party, chuck a C4 in, blow away the cover, maybe find a full kill. And also, in the middle of that fight, I want to highlight how quick the CZ is able to kill. Not only knock, but insta-flush in the single magazine. Very dangerous. While yes, the SCW-10 can drop you quickly, that full flush from the CZ is so scary in those final fights.
Gibson, you mentioned it as well, actually, in the urban, we saw people going towards the shotgun. Do you think a lot of people can be swapping over now and actually seeing these scrims going, do you know what, there are certain tools that we need to put in our back pocket for an urban fight?
It just again comes down to the circumstances, right? Like, and I think in Nexus, maybe not, but when you get into downtown and you're pushing small rooms, there's always this place for an S12K. DBS, no chance. That thing in the bin. But I think the S12K, there's definitely a place and a use case for it. Well, I kind of want to talk about that end fight again, right? You were talking about how Megalodon got the win from playing that position, but a lot of it came down to circumstance as well. If we had have seen the Polish Eagles third party the fight with Brain Dead that happened below them and wiped them earlier, they would have had unbelievable fire lines down inside the shop to get those kills on the Megalodon. But because they stalled out that little bit too long and they waited, it just gifted the fight the other way. Like, it takes there's a lot of skill obviously involved in the game like this, but when you're missing some of the real big dogs as well, you need that little bit of luck, and they didn't make their own.
But a lot of that, and I agree with you, but a lot of that comes down to everyone sitting to the outside edge style. Like, we see it all the time, like, and not just this game, the games before, everyone, especially in the mid to late game, will wait till they get their backs up against the wall, and then it's kind of, we all agree to go forward. Gibson's right in what he's saying, though. If they took the third party earlier, they would have found a bit of space and would have been in a better advantage to close that game out. But so far, from the scrims that I've seen, everyone waits until the fire hits their back.
I mean, it's the right thing to do. I do believe so, right? You want to be able to not be the team engaging, but also be the team that kind of stays in the back and waits. I also have sad news. Unfortunately, I was muted earlier.
Always self-mute.
Yeah, no, you're fine now, mate.
I may have self-muted myself, and I'm fine now because I just checked and I was muted.
You don't need to mute that. I've got the buttons, mate.
Guys.
I can't... All I'm going to say is I can say nothing about it because, you know, those in glass houses can't throw stones. I can't say anything about that.
Well, like I say, on VMix, you were golden. The little red light is right in front of me and you were on. So it's a technical fault on your side, I'm going to say. But
User error.
User error. That's what I blame the game on when I'm playing. Let's talk, though, about the end game, because I do want to come back to the point, Whippet, that teams do wait for the outside edge. Do you think the development, as we start seeing that, maybe it's the right play to go a bit more aggressive a bit earlier to fight for space? Or do you think we're going to continue actually, do you know what, hold the outside edge, let the action happen, and we're just hopefully come out on top?
I think it might come down to a stylistic choice for how teams want to play it. I think if you read into this game, if you're a side that understands that, you know, you read a lobby, you know what you're up against, if they're going to sit and play and wait for the last second to go, you see a building that you can crash into, get that control, and dominate and hold the rotation out of the fire, that might be better. But I think it's super situational for how teams want to play. If they want to go aggressive for space, or they want to sit and just play on that fire line, it's super risky. It's super rewarding when it works if you can cut off teams, because knowing that pressure can force out mistakes. But I think the biggest thing is we'll see as this game evolves is where the stylistic layers fall for how teams want to approach the puzzle, that is.
I think for me, especially on that point, it's early. And I think if you are out there and you think you can give it and take it as much as you can in this style of lobby, you need to start !Fireteam in chat. We'll get you a link to the Discord. Get involved, sign your team up. These are the scrims. Yes, there is an event coming, guys and girls, and that's what this practice is for, not just for us and the observing and making sure we're unmuted, but actually making sure that you get the opportunity to try and practice. I've got even mates that play this game. They're like, oh, I didn't know we're doing scrims yet. So again, make sure you get involved. It is game number 5. I'm going to take a back seat. Gibson, guys, I'm muted now, so it's going to be you two take on game 5. See you guys in a few.
All right. So Die, you're locked in. You were just muted because you were saving the energy for what you're going to give on this cast. Game 5 of the night, and we've seen Megalodon go back to back. Are we going to see them follow in the footsteps of 6-7 and TBA and get a triple?
I would love so, but it just feels like, are you getting closer to your microphone?
Hell yeah. Getting closer but speaking lower, you know? Getting closer but speaking lower.
Speaking facts, that's what it calls. Look at this beautiful observing with Vista. And I cannot wait the other one.
Reyes. It's the golf. More lovingly known in the community as golf course.
Listen, oh, there we go, 6-7. As per usual, man. I love this team. I just feel like the observers have, figured it out that I love seeing this team. Again, Avra, I can just highlight this player. And also, earlier today, it is actually the whole team which just find themselves in very unfortunate positions. As of right now, they get taken out quite early on. But let's see if the Sharks, or... thing is, like, I'm really afraid to say the name wrong. That's why I'm just saying the Sharks, because...
Megalodon?
Yeah, because I have the German pronunciation in my head.
What's the German?
I don't want to say. I don't want to embarrass
No,
myself.
go on, say it. What's the German pronunciation?
Megalodon.
Okay, that's fine. I thought it was going to be way worse. Anyway, inside a golf course, we have Ironside. The Dictator has fallen so far, as they've got 3 players up, but he will rejoin the fray in about 30. I would say 36 seconds, but it doesn't look like it's changing at all. As Viking here, Team Cats, I know you're a cat lover yourself, are moving in to try take advantage of the numbers.
Oh, absolutely. I love cats. But also, we would love to see a very nice fight. There we go. The first one's already been injured. It was quite quickly. My god. That was a very quick start. This was only 2 men now remaining. Taking a lot of damage. Not quite enough. There's a flying coming in from the left side. Beautiful right there. The next knock as well. As we're also coming in now with the execution, meaning we have full information where these last players are. They're getting themselves out of the building. He's trying to run away and survive for his team. Another one will be called off guards in the meanwhile. But he will find a kill for himself, so yet not to be taken out.
Yeah, the Dictator is back and he's able to get himself a couple of kills on the board, but still, he's the only player up for his side now. Sprinting towards Team Cats, they'll hear the footsteps on the slate roof, which make an incredible amount of noise. So for him now, it's just about staying alive. Big decision to be made though, Die. A lot of the times in the past, you see it once a player's been redeployed, the rest of the squad if they're on their second redeploy, they're backing off. They're trying to live somewhere else. They'll just say, Dictator, try get to us if you can. If you can't, we'll bring you back later as we turn our attention over to construction as Kush. By the way, if you're not following this kid, please do. It is incredible with what he is able to do on the controller. So keep an eye on him as he steps on out with that KTS. And right on cue, he's going to get a knock and a flush.
Perfectly done. Dusted is one from above, even quicker. My god, he just mentioned this play and he's already going absolute nuclear. He's looking for more. Third one to his name. The last one will be taken away with a teammate, but nearly a whole squad. But just a single map. But there's of course a few more teams now moving in, not to be underestimated. Look, this is how beautiful. The fact that defense is golden just makes me happy.
Yeah, this mixed team, by the way, of Kush and Ricky. I think Ricky's actually the #1 ranked player in the world, by the way. I checked, he is a 12,000 RP buffer between him and the next ranked player. We'll talk about that a little bit more as Sly Yama up on top of Nexus steps on out onto the balcony, gets some nice shots down, but not quite enough with the LMG to find that knock, but revealing their position as this team pushes their way up. Wraith and Co. working their way from Amazon.
But you are aware that there's a team right below them. Be careful here, because of course these stairs could be quite dangerous, especially where the line of sights are. And here again, right, because there's so many teams right around the fence, don't want to be finding themselves starting an engagement, starting a long fight that could then open up even more possibilities for a third party. But I'm not shift our attention to the next team. District. There's two teams now quite close to each other. It does seem like that one team is trying to escape from the claws of Oslo, but they're not quite getting away yet.
Yeah, it looks like there's been a bit of a roster swap here. Slashy stepping in to fill the place of OC. As it turns out, Ethan may have alt F4. I guess he wasn't having the best night in the world, but the rest of the team will battle on with Slashy as a sub. Abu will send the Bomba in. That'll just deplate his rival for long enough for him to get the first aid off as the LFTs are caught in the open, though. Look at the angle Slashy has here. Diolaslaw, 140 he hits with the interdictor. Runs across the open now. He's going to get cracked, and thankfully the ambulance comes in for the perfect cover to allow him to heal himself up and get back to 100%. But the LFTs holding this app for everything they have.
Oh, back up on his feet. He does have the DP. Beautiful star right there. And it does look like that they're going to have the bigger upper hand. Of course, they're still trying to push this building. Somehow, two men standing inside of the building haven't been found yet. And as I speak of it, they have been taken out. Now Swift are yet again our attention. Look of how many teams are at Golf Club. There's so many teams. It does look like two teams are on the roof. Another team is inside of the building. I think it's Dictator's team down below. But you do have to be real careful here, because again, the second a fight starts, one being injured, there could be a third party soon right behind them. From the looks of it, this is exactly what's happening. Dictator, it is him. He's gonna come up the stairs. He's gonna come up the ladder. He's gonna find a kill. There's still one more player on the tip of the roof, just proning down and waiting for his opportunity to maybe run away or just get a few more kills. But he's gonna be found any second. Dictator's right there.
Oh no!
See him, but he does turn around. Great shot right there. That is the Wipers one.
Yeah, Monkey isn't able to win that battle, so that'll be his squad wiped as Dictator and Co. came back to finish off what they started a little while ago. Nebula here completing missions down inside of Marina, the gold area. We'll see them get maybe some more good loot, maybe some customs landing soon. But back on the fight though, you've got Mena playing inside of the lobby of the clubhouse, and up on top we still have Buxerex, Dictator, Soupy, and the rest of the squad. Again, pointing out, no helicopter. This is the squad that hunted us down with a helicopter for everything they're worth in a ranked game. And then they probably like teabagged us a little bit too. Like, oh yeah, look at us, we killed casters with a helicopter. Grow up, man. Grow up.
I can feel it. It does taste a little bit salty there, Gibbs.
Yeah, I'm a bit bitter. I'm still bitter about it. As Soupy will see their team get wiped, so the Mena boys are able to win that battle for now. And a helicopter's coming in, die. Here we go.
He does crash on the roof. The teammates will be quite close, but look at better than now surrounded by another team of opponents. Let's hope that they have completely got themselves back up suited when it comes to plates. Because this fight is not going to go away. Luckily for them, the zone is, or the edge of the zone is nowhere near. They still have a lot of time here to get onto this fight. Maybe a few more kills. 18 squads left. They're still just walking around the building. Mena have found himself now being able to rotate around, rotate outside, maybe even soon getting a hold of that ladder as well, which is on the left side though of them. Could give them quite a lot of opportunities to go up and just get this team fight going.
Yeah, you can use the boxes and the awning on the other side to get up to, but I think for now, Mena will be happy to just stay alive inside of golf course. They can use the team above as their kind of early defense mechanism, but they're making so much noise themselves that at some point a decision will need to be made between both of these rosters as Cortisol and Co play on the high ground. You can see some shots are getting sent now in anger as Awa has got a bit of a nasty angle, and now the decision's been made. They got the damage done. They're pushing aggressive. Awa, he'll get himself one, and now the Mena boys in a world of trouble. 3 versus 2. Trapped in the back corner. Actually, they got a res off that. It's back to a 3v3.
Parked up the pretty long hallway, doing quite a lot of damage. Awa just gets away with his life, but from the looks of it, it is BD in a disadvantage. They do have lost quite a lot of HP. They're plating all of them back up, but it's Mena of the 2v3 disadvantage. They do need to leave soon and maybe just create an opportunity for his teammates to get back in, or even deploy a respawn beacon or go to one. Oh, there we go. That could give them quite a lot of time. They call in the airstrike. The real question is, are they going to move away or just going to try to stay here and maybe do some more shenanigans? But it is a 2v4.
Yeah, Triple H on the other side will try to make something happen. He is a player with a ton of pedigree. Yes, that reference is for Whippet, not you. I think some people might get it as they watch at home. And right on cue, Triple H will hit Captain Slayer and manages to take down one. Yaji moving up on the roof to help out his boy. He catches out the angle on the other side. SVDM in his hands, a ton of damage. Gets one, gets a couple of shots on the other. And here comes Triple H. Gets the instant flush on the other side, but he's going to get caught out. Yaji moving in. Fahad is back in the fight now as well, as Mena are up to a 2 once more. Triple H, though, he is down and out, and they've chased the 2 players away as the second chance ends just a bit too soon for the team that just lost 2 players.
I do have bad news as a third team close by, not quite looking yet to fully engage, but it could definitely cause for some issues later on. The big problem right now is that the zone, well, it has shrunk quite a lot, meaning they're gonna have to move, and oh my god, they're gonna get into the helicopter. Yeah, there we are. They're moving. They're flying away. Oh god, look at these teams. They could get themselves in a very good position here, especially here on the higher ground. Of course, there's already a team getting that space, but towards the left there, especially where they're going to, where they're flying right now, there's no team that could get quite a lot of space. Maybe just control that one, but they're making a round trip.
Yeah, the little bird. Yeah, the little bird from Yaji just getting a lot of scouting done. They're going to start bailing out on top of these apps, and this will be the position they play as they look over towards retail in the corner. Little bird down, players down, but they're going to attempt to get this redeploy to get back up to a full 4. Is that going to be the go signal for other teams? We'll find out soon, but it looks like Sleshy and Co are moving up to that next apartment as they're getting involved in a fight here as well.
There's a few more teams around them. Look at that. 2 teams also towards the side parking garage. There's just so many teams here again, just squashed next to each other, coexisting, one could say. Could help them quite a lot later on in the games, but the smaller the zone becomes, the more of a problem that will be. If you have a chance to just get rid of a team, then that is the chance you should be using. It's 13 teams here again. You want to have a space that's all to yourself. That's something that the top teams have been doing, especially 6-7 or even the Sharks. I'm still too afraid to say the name in English.
Megalodon.
Yeah, no, it's
You're just like, I'm not even going to chance it. I'll give you the real team name in a second so that you can use the real team if that's much better, which it probably isn't. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Arrow Point working their way on up here as LeSect start climbing the stairs. It's been a pretty good night for them so far. A little bit of parkour, creates the off angle, and Arizo's going to get himself one. Manages to stay alive, about 20 HP, but the rest of the team are going to engage now as Chivers gets up on top of the roof, spots the angle from the other side. But this was a really good play from Arizo, and I think they managed to just about get the flush as well, Die.
Well, it's a perfect opportunity, right? Not quite fully. Of course, there's still a few players moving and running away, but there's another team not fighting their own battle. Of course, the other side of the buildings, but look how many teams are now slowly but steady moving in these buildings, coexisting right next to each other. As said early on, when you had the time and the space to get onto these fights and just remove players from your direction, that should have been a moment, but unfortunately now they do not have the time. Now they would be risking too many third parties. As we can see now, the Sharks getting themselves in good positions right into that building, but they do know that there's two teams. They know the second a fight starts, they need to be prepared for the third party.
Yeah, this fight inside of retail starting to go on significantly long now, and the go signal has been stopped. We did finish a map here last week. We might see the same again as Annie will start wishing out. There is some ammo and plates available to him as he takes some damage from afar and forces his way back inside the building. And this is where you bring down the hammer, shut down these walls, give yourself an angle to engage on the other side of the fight as Yahio is still getting hit from behind, getting closer and closer to Nebula now. And not only Nebula, you've got Team Mix here too.
Oh, look how many teams are right now on top of each other. It's gonna be the Sharks. Look at them just sweeping up the kills one by one, even a third. Look at him. He's looking for more. He does know the wipe hasn't been done yet fully. But lucky for them, none of them have really been injured so far, nor put in a grave danger. But they're looking for these kills. They're looking for these players. Just fought him around the corner. He's going to do a little bit of damage. Not quite enough. It's going to be taken out immediately. Back up his feet as another team has been wiped. We're down to 9 teams. That just means they have a whole space to themselves. And this is what I was talking about. They're going to be in such less of a pressure than all the other teams that need still to move in or are currently sharing a space with another team. That gives them a great start or even a big advantage for or against other teams.
Across the road, Mena, who did manage to get all 4 bodies back up alive, are currently playing inside of gas station. They're just waiting on the edge of the firestorm for now. They would have heard the gunfights. They know what happened over on the other side. I think, oh, actually, they didn't get Fahad back. I was misplaced in that comm. But you look at it, right? They're on the edge of the circle. They need to move their way in, where they're going to come into the line of sight of Megalodon. On the other side of the road, there's also other teams holding them out, so it becomes a really difficult rotate into the circle for these teams. With 30 players left alive, this does seem like the lower traffic area of the zone, but you still don't want to be in Mena's position here.
Absolutely not, but at the end, for a good advantage, they're a bit on the slower side of the circle. Of course, not fully, that's another team, but they are not at the complete high speedy moving zone. They have a little bit of time, and all they gotta do is make sure that if they focused on the Sharks, that they pick that fight early on. If they want to move somewhere else, for example, up the hill, then they need to make sure that the Sharks are not looking towards that direction. So all for that, meaning they need to make or create some destruction so that they can just move around freely.
Yeah, look at the way the circle has shifted now. All these teams outside of retail are in a ton of trouble. Teams like LeSect, who have a map win earlier on today, they've got a rough rotate into the circle. You can see wrapping over on that other side, a couple of teams are starting to get forced towards each other. So I feel like this is the right decision for Arrow Point, for LeSect. Cover your way, smoke yourself over and towards retail and take on the one fight you can control. But the problem is, Mena have also made the exact same rotate. 3 squads descending upon retail once more. Megalodon holding the stairs and they can't back off, and they've got to be careful because an angle's going to open up pretty soon from Mena.
Mena's right behind them here again. If they just choose the right perfect time, they might find themselves in a great third party position. But they gotta be careful because there might be a fourth party soon coming. There's still a third or fourth team on the other side of this current fight that is happening. There's the first few bodies already falling, and both teams are going to lose a few of their players, but it's just too many teams around. They're being pinched down, and from the looks of it, Sharks, they might not survive this one. They might not prevail this fight, but luckily for them, they got themselves its first team fight, succeeded. And there's the next team fight coming in Mena. They're also still waiting patiently. They do know there's one more team. All they're gonna do is wait for this fight to happen, wait to be coming in to pick up the last few scraps.
Megalodon went extinct because there wasn't enough prey to keep it going, but this time there's just too much prey, and that will see that roster getting torn apart inside. Mena, still 3 players up, a bunch of kills on the board, hunting down the final one of its kind, the final Megalodon player, getting chased. Yaji's going to wrap around, spots the player, but didn't have his gun out the ready, and that'll see Punchy drop down below. He's going to use the smoke for some cover, but Yaji catches him out, and there's 4 teams left alive. Mena in a very good position, but look at the amount of people waiting to try pick up this next kill.
But look at the zone completely shifting it again towards the trees. We've already won a kind of a similar zone, and it really caused for a lot of problems. It gave the team who was playing in the building a lot of advantage, but this time I don't think that team's gonna have that big of an advantage. We can see a few of these shots already coming in. Mena is gonna lose one of their players, but there is a respawn beacon already deployed, ready to get their teammates back in. But look, another team has already moved in. 6-7 are back on the board. They're in between 3 teams. All they gotta do is choose their attention and where they're going to go.
Using that truck trailer to give himself some cover in the back door as Mike will find one, instantly flushed out by Hawks. Pikur pushing in as well. 3 of our 4 teams on the edge of retail now as Triple H will just go get himself tucked into the corner for now. Fusker spots out Corrali as he makes his way inside that traverser. You can see the firestorm forcing them in towards 6-7, but the problem is the third party from above. Instant defib getting everybody back up onto their feet and tucked in the corner once more. As you start to hear the beep, the self-destruct on the drone was turned on, but it's not going to go boom for now, Die. You gotta say, Saber have such a good position to take this win, but it can all change very quickly if they overextend at any point.
They have a great position, but the big problem right now is they do not have a lot of cover. Of course, all they gotta use is these trees, but that's basically it. If they have another team pushing them, it might just be dangerous. There's last 2 teams standing. It is 6-7 and Saber, but they have the advantage to higher ground. One more member will fall. The smokes will do their best, but they're so little that they can actually do. The kills need to go. And it will, from the looks of it, it is going to be a 2v2. Last 2 men standing from both of the 2 teams. The defib is there, ready to get the teammate back up, and that's a 3v2 now established. Even a 4v2. The last man standing on 1v4. All he's gonna do is 6-7. From the looks of it, will be denied in any second now. He cannot prevail. Saber will find the last man standing.
Well, it was one extinct beast that won the last 2 maps, and it's Saber that come in this time around, whether you want to see them as the Blade or the Tiger. Either way, they take the win in this one. Game number 5, Mark. Nice night tonight so far. 6-7 though, not really stepping up at the levels we expect.
No, look, I still put them up there on the lobby, especially when it comes down to one of the stronger teams in here. But it's good to see Saber converting that one, but also seeing obviously Megalodon going back to back. They just can't convert with it. They get so close. They take the right fights at the right time, but when it comes push to shove, 6-7 fall down.
It's a tough one to kind of diagnose as well, because you put it perfectly. They're in these positions, so they're taking the correct fights. They're getting in the right position. You know, making it as far as they have been clearly shows that they're doing the right things. But these final fights, whether it's just the nature of the beast with the zone, the cover they're dealt with, just playing against them, it's been tough. But this side, I think, is still going to be one of those ones that I'm looking at going, when we don't see TBA in the lobby, this will be a side that I'm guaranteeing will go deep and challenge for those victories, just yet to find consistent wins behind their belt.
Well, consistent win die is Megalodon. I won't get you to say it, so don't worry, despite you want to hear the German one more time, but we can do that off air. Again, a team that gets in the right position. They're fighting, they are stacking up, and again, they're a team that keeps those numbers really, really tight. We see them get the conversion. They didn't quite in this game, but it's good to see another team being hyper consistent.
Absolutely. And it was just this whole fight, or the multiple fights happening in that building, right? Unfortunately, they were just pinched by 4 other teams. What can you do in that moment, right? You have another team to fight with, you have a few seconds to reset, then another team's coming in, and then a third team's coming in, and there's just too much to handle eventually, right? So we must give credits to Manor, right? They really figured out there's a third team coming in. They want to be the 4th team. They want to be the team standing out longer. They got a little bit too quickly on the start of that fight, but at the end of the day, they did succeed. But Saber, we have to give credits where credits due. They just stayed patient. They knew to have the high ground. They didn't overextend. They waited the whole time. There was so much loot and so many fights, so much blood being shed in one corner of that circle, but they just waited. And sometimes trigger discipline will get you to the victory.
The last 3 games, though, Gibson, it felt like discipline, being calm, being patient has got these teams to win. And it's that case we spoke about before. Are we going to see a transition? The more scrims we do, the more matches we put underneath our belt, will teams start focusing more on placement point? When does that become a thing? Because those last 3 games are pretty strong.
I think it's going to become more of a thing when we get to the 10K, when teams actually work out how much of an impact those placements are going to have, right? Because we're still waiting on teams to correctly update scoreboards. I've seen one team earlier today uploaded a scoreboard with 723 kills.
Excuses, this is Mr. Lively board.
One team had 723 kill points in one map, so I'm not quite sure that was working correctly, if I'm being honest. So if we get a leaderboard, I think it'll be posted like maybe on socials at the end of scrims once they've all kind of been tidied up. But I want to check in with Whippet. Did you hear my Triple H reference? Are you happy with that one, or did it disgust you?
I'm not gonna lie, Gibson. For a good chunk of this matchup, I actually kind of I sat back and relaxed. I had my food. I was enjoying some relaxation after a long day of work. So I apologize if I missed it, but I'm sure it hit really.
Stop it. Mark Power, stop it.
Love it. Never put me in charge of production. I hear a rumor, Gibson, that you are leaving us though after this game.
No, not yes and no. It's kind of, I'll be away for like 10-15 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
It's fine. I'm not casting, so it's good.
I'm starting to prep. That's why I put the photo out, because I think you're leaving us. I have to fill something in that box. Okay. Oh, okay. That won't come back up again. Let's get back to the game. The Triple H reference I thought was quite good, Gibson. But it didn't last for long, because after that, they got caught slightly on the rotation. So maybe it was the killing blow.
They still got, I think, a top 5 or top 4 out of it. The Mena team, they bailed out of there, so they made the right decision. But I'll make that reference again next time I'm casting Whippet, so he can fully appreciate it. And it will happen soon, but it is coming up to the last game of the night, right? A 6-map kind of pool. To me, they fly by like it's 20-25 minutes a map. It's a lot quicker paced than maybe some other BRs. But I'm going to ask you, Mark, I'm going to do with the question people hate. There's 24 teams. Give us a prediction. Who's winning the last map?
Megalodon. Right, Gibson, thank you. Start off. Whippet, you're with me. Die. Love and leave you. See you in a few. Whippet, it's game number 6. As we will get underway, I wanted to show the observing, because we got to see this wonderful crash site with the swimming pool, and you'd be chilling out here. It's hard to make a prediction with this. Why? Because I don't find the level of consistency coming through just yet. And that might just be because how new the scene is. If you want to get involved, sign up on Discord. ! Fireteam, get your team involved, and we'll be casting you on the next scrims.
And honestly, you get in there quickly. These scrims have been filling up so quick every time they're offered. So, of course, as Mark said, get that command and chat and jump on in for this. Now, my big thing is, well, perfectly as you mentioned, it's so hard to make that prediction. We can't do it with 24 teams and no real consistency found from the sides that we have in it. We see them going deep, and we can probably make a vague prediction of our top 10, maybe our top 5. But who actually gets across that finish line is nigh impossible to guess at this stage. Treatment plant, a early tease for it going gold, and that's going to be immediately where 6-7 are going to drop in. They're looking to get aggressive. Second place in our previous matchup. Can they try and do better here? Dropping aggressive, going to be the second team arriving, maybe even a third. Has already lots of pressure here. There's going to be 3 teams I can see at this stage with all the good loot stacking up. They might be able to get a firefight going, but I saw a shotgun picked up early, Mark.
Nothing wrong with shotgun early, Whippet, especially with an urban style ending, and this area gives us the opportunity. The jump will go through, head-to-head battles go, and it's a stack up. How close can you get that gun to that person's soul and send in the shotguns for the finish with it? Oh, headshot! Run!
You said there was nothing wrong with a shotgun, and you're down right with that. Blast one away, but unfortunately for the side of 6-7, they're going to get collapsed on. It's going to be down the 1, and he's not going to stand too much longer. Fusco's going to get fall, and they get wiped out super quickly. And well, just like that, in the blink of an eye, treatment centers under the control of a singular team. All the time in the world to loot up, and they can get themselves stacked up nicely. Up by radar, 2 teams already stacking up to look for it. There's going to be a wild card, peering down on the high ground, trying to fire down deep. They find that pressure, and doing a wise choice, stacking up early on their ammo crates to make sure these rifles are ready, as they've got themselves the best battering ram in the game. The little bird is ready with Abu. Oh.
I'm with Gibson on this, man. You know me and the little bird because it's always me that gets run over, right? I was on a zip line and Soupy got me. Like, it's like he knew. It's like he knew. Anyway, all fun and games. It is a tool, a utility to be used, the little bird. I'm just jealous. Why? Because I can't fly it. Let's be honest with it.
It's innocent. I think I'm trying my best to learn how to fly the Helos at this point, and I'm getting there eventually. So soon I can be a battering ram for our team. We might be able to get a little bit more success, but it's going to be a repositioning tool and a little bit of information gathered here as Abu goes up high, and he'll spot a team deep inside a radar station. You can get all the information he would have wanted, but some rockets sent straight towards him, the first set of flares, and that might be enough of a deterrent to force him off the helicopter for now.
It's forced him off the helicopter at the moment. Sabre obviously working their way through. It might be a prehistoric, but as we saw, they were a light and fully kicking last time. Initial shots will come through. Noxus come through as he continues to apply the pressure. Has to be careful now because he's split. He's got one left though. He tries to kill defib, but the jump gets the better. And now a fall. And now for Sabre, they can get pushing.
They need to try and flood this while they have the advantage. Body's wounded. All of Slaw's going to be fighting so much. He's going to try and peek up as he can, but I don't think he's going to last too much longer. Abu, the man from the helicopter, now makes a full pivot around. He's going to try and get aggressive with his cord. Low damage, but nice and stable. Not enough to find that knock, but it looks like it's going to be a slow and painful demise as only one body stands. Vorn will lead the charge to try and hunt down this final pickup, and I have a feeling Abu is not long for this world. He'll look left, he'll look right, and only he'll be looking down to his grave. He gets wiped out, and his team takes the reset.
Yeah, I'm going to take the reset, but I can take the reset because this fight will continue. The blackjack roll one more time. It's not a gamble with this team because the pressure has been applied. They now try and get the cover goat. Now, obviously, for the other team, though, they are trying to make distance, and distance they have made, but they have expelled pretty much all their smokes. Not much left. They're going to have to take this head on.
No option to do this fancy. They're going to try their best. AK-205 going to be just doing minuscule damage, and I think the right decision is to parachute off the cliff, find a reset, but the AK-205 might not do the damage I would have wanted. It's nice and stable. Unfortunately, not going to get full avail of it, and there will be a full escape. So they're going to reset. They're going to get themselves falling back nicely. And well, they're going to be running straight down the red line, and there should be a nice few crates to restock. Get your ammo up, get your plates up. The French side can rebuild from here as their teammates will be coming back in on their second chances. Actually, Vorn, long way away. Eventually, there he is on his timing.
Well, they've got the UAV up, so that's going to give them the information the red line is shared. Sharing is caring. There's a lot of space around here to be had, but we can get straight in towards the other action. Now it is underground battle as the first exchange will happen. It comes to pressure. Slide will go through, gets the knock though. Pre-fire will go around the corner, doesn't quite get the connection out, and they are on a full run because this team Gambit is on a tear.
They have to keep this momentum rolling. They have to play the perfect gambit and just try and get aggressive. But a lot of teams on the top of that zip line, I think the wise choice is to keep playing down below in the tunnels. And while scurry around like rats, find the guns you need and build up your plan in the safety of the bunkers and the tunnels of Fort Linden. Vindicator squad up above do spot one player on the parachute all by his lonesome on a full recovery from his team. But they're playing the waiting game, hoping we might see Gambit make the charge up the zipline, and I wonder, will they be privy to this one? Baiting it out with the sound cue, hoping to draw a reaction, but no one bites yet.
About to say, let's just wait for those sound cues to kick in, just on time as well. Be careful when you use the drone. For those that don't know, you can put a Moby here as well. If you need to get a mobile redeploy, you need to get your boys back up, or your girls, you can go to the bottom of here and pop it right by the zipline. Didn't know that until we saw someone else do it. As a result, it does allow you to get those bodies back up if you are underground.
Oh, we take a pivot back to get some sunlight. It's going to be difficult to sit in the bunker all day, so we'll dive on board here with Wolverine Squad. They're going to be at full strength, try to charge into find control. Looks like a mobile respawn's going off. Actually, no, it's going to be a mission marker. The KTS going to be very outgunned in these close quarter fights. He'll fall. Teammates should be there for the trade, but unfortunately gets locked down. Full flood SCW-10, while not custom, can still work through this as Screwface looks to find one more, and I believe they found a full wipeout here, and indeed they have.
Yeah, they get the Reds back up. So they'll be back to a 3. Rico obviously is coming back down, so they'll be soon to a 4. And again, as you mentioned before, there's going to be a lot of loot to grab. Back towards the other side, back towards the gold area on the other side of goal scores. The lines of the houses provide somewhat cover, but not for long. Screammate KTE will find potential of 2. For Fortune, though, they're looking to try and just get over the fence.
Omni in a great position though to send that toxic canister off, and that will buy just enough of a window to begin to fall away as we do return to the basement. It's going to be Surge this time, beginning to try and surge in this one, but it's going to be an absolute slaughter. They break cover straight into the waiting lines of the AUG. They get picked off one by one, and Axie falls, and that's going to be a full wipeout as they're down to only 21 squads. Not sure where the rest of them have fallen at this stage, but still very early. Tapping away with the GRT, just looking for an opening down towards Mena, but not really getting presented with the opportunity would have wanted. But they are going to be in a horrible spot, stuck between 2. Fortune Squad likely not long for this world, but somehow they're still standing, Mark.
They're standing because the ambulance is made of steel. Godlike ambulance keeps Fortune in the money at the moment. Smoke will come down and give an opportunity just to back away. Replay will go through, but the zone, well, it's going to get pushing now, as they need to try and get as close as they can to the red line to get themselves round and out the other side.
Diving to the backyard, and they will play as deep on that as they can. Looks like Hunter Squad. Mena very much aware of them. Here a team emerging down below them. It's going to be a full strength squad of 4. They hold the high ground. The Balties don't connect from the L116, and the smokes go off. Ironside don't want to fully engage this. They have the space to fall back. The zone or the red line in their favor. Will Mena begin to pursue this? Will Ironside reposture up and look for a full re-engage?
Yeah, I like this area. It's difficult hold when you get this high side where they are situated at the moment. They've got like a stopgap. They can take the fight. The problem they've got here with it is the zone's going to push them out. So right play from the other team. They've disengaged. They've gone to go find a new position to try and take the fight. And I also like the speed of movement from Ironside. They could have sat. They could have waited to a fight that was never coming that way. But now they realise the team have gone. They also take the opportunity to get to zone.
I think a good decision. Actually, they can begin to pivot towards that custom weapon drop. We see Dispenser just playing by himself. His sole survivor has an Overwatch position on it. We'll jump on board here with Viking. As Kilma just trying to fire away. Custom SVD in hand. Very powerful if someone exposes it. Feels like it's almost repetitious to say. He'll try and look for whatever loot he can get his hands on. What has he found his hand? What is he I believe that's going to be the 300 Blackout Scar, the carbine version of the Scar. Very good in close quarter fights as well in that ideal sub 15 meter range. So it'll do the job until he gets his hands on an SCW. Saber Squad will find some comfort and refuge in the middle of this warehouse, but 2 teams sandwich them as of right now. The real objective is just to keep it nice and quiet. You might have an opportunity to find a perfect third party if these 2 teams find an opening. With the safety net of being deep in the zone, I don't think there's going to be much movement, and they'll play it passive for now.
Again, seeing more and more teams are doing this. Don't forget, guys, girls, also with the SCW, you want to try and get that leveled up as quick as you can, because you will be looking for that in the customs. We'll go towards the outside as they will sit tight. We will sit tight and lock in on the fight. The initial shots will come over. The Dictator, though, punishing. As the Buffaloes, well, they get the opportunity to work their way in, but they have to work their way around.
They have to make a full pivot around, and we'll hop on board here with Rafe. Has been such a... Rafe is an incremental player for his side. Every time there's action, he seems to be involved. But we're back with Ironside, just on the barren cliff face. As he, again, well, back to Rafe, and has an SCW-10 full grey. He'll try and make it work best he can, and does. Shuts down one as we'll jump quickly back to Ironside. Very exposed in this hill as he tries to push up towards solar panel. A team right ahead of them, team behind them, team to their left as well. This is a horrible one. They decide to take the fight closest to them, but it's going to be a gambit no matter what. They'll reveal their position. Everyone in proximity will get a close call or a close indication to dive on in for it. It's going to be Zides trying to get an opportunistic revive, and I think he stakes this one out.
Does. Good use. The gas master really took effect. Allowed him to kind of go for that grab, but he does it a little bit too late. Rotation round will fall down. Ironsight, unfortunately, now down to a singular player. Now going to have to go to the belly of the beast as we go underground.
Going underground at this late stage with the fire line beginning to burn in is going to buy some refuge, and I don't think they've stuck to it, actually deciding to stay above for a little bit. As the rockets fire away. Artillery was called in on exit, and actually they do full commit going down below, and with only 40 meters to work with it. It'll be very, very scary indeed. You have to find the right exit way out, and if someone's watching this, you could be very, very vulnerable. Lots of teams have decided to take the refuge in the tunnel here, Mark, and it could be an absolute calamity with the limited ways out and every single stomping footstep heard. These teams are running in to a bare-knuckle brawl.
You have to also judge the rotation. You're being applied pressure. The zone's going to push you out of here. You need to have an exit strategy and an exit plan. For Arrow Point, well, they pinpoint their exit as they will go for the climb. And for Viper, well, they sliver deep, but they also sliver an opportunity as they double check. No one is waiting.
Using the thermal vision just to try and gather some information. They're going to be completely clear from this, and I believe there's going to be a team directly above them at this point. Footsteps heard, but the drone will make the long, agonizing ascent all the way up to the top of the exit, only to likely spot there's a team lurking just above them. They might hear the rotors of the drone ascending, but it looks like a fight's going to emerge. And for the team down below in the tunnels, this could be an opportunistic moment to take and seize the chance to get up. The drone gets spotted, but this might be all they need as a team emerges and shows their hand down below.
Whip it. There's an argument to say if they got up that bloody zip line early, they could have taken that fight and they would have been the first. They waiting for the drone. It was disciplined, but it gave up their opportunity. Now they've got to find a new exit. The Vipers have to sliver across to another tunnel.
Back with Gambit, and well, all the gambles they've made so far have seemingly paid off, but it looks like there's a defensive line established on one of the only viable exits of the tunnels. They find a massive knock on the donut, fully flush him out, wounding Viper, and I think they sense a chance to close out this fight. One more falls, but Viper still have a chance to play spoiler as they explode and detonate. There's not much they can do. Benkai will do his best to reload, restock, and rearm for supporting his teammate, and might find a flush. Needs to find a flush. No way they can hold the line. Surely they can't do this. And they get picked off one by one. They fall, but they found huge damage in that fight.
The unicorns are mythical creatures. Maybe it's from the belly of REDSEC that they get born. We'll have to wait and see, but the Vipers had the missed opportunity. Game number 6 now, final match for the Scrims. Triple H now under pressure as well. Has to look for the dart. Going to try and go for the replay, but the replays have been expelled. He's going to take another opportunity, another breather before he finds more cover, but the cover is running out of time.
He's so exposed. There's very little Triple H can do at this point, and actually does get knocked. The Rocket finds him, locks it out as Gambit begin the lock horns of their own. It's going to be two teams or two opposition staring down again. They're on a full strength of 4. They can play the numbers game to swarm this, but I think they're cautious of a likely third party arriving, so opting to concede the fight, concede the chance of wiping out Mena, leaving themselves exposed, taking the damage on this retreat, but they want the high ground. They want to be away from this low ground as quick as possible. And a wise choice playing for zone, as Mena now have to make the tricky ascent as barrels will be trained down towards them as they've made their presence known.
Onto a duo though, Mena have got to be careful. Well, the hunter, as per the game, they need to become the hunter, not the hunted. Buffalo holds the ankle, has seen the head, has seen the peak. We've got to be careful. Rafe launches not just 1 but 2 smokes will go though. Give the cover, give the opportunity to run the smoke line. And knowing that they can get close to him, they backed off slightly to a new ridge side and they get the better. Rafe get damage dealt to him.
Rafe has to play this careful. He's been so pivotal for his squad time and time again. Great damage found, but not enough to lock out that knock. The rest of his team begins to arrive, and as so many fights happen and occur across it, it looks like 6-7 taking falls. They might have been wiped out. But Breezy now leading the charge. They're looking down to the low ground, trying to find anything, but nothing opening up. Everyone trying to play as risk-averse as possible.
I actually really like this ending. We've got the outside bowl and everyone having to descend their way down. Everyone is having to make the dart. So an opposite compared to the castles. Gambit, though, is already here, looking to try and make the charge, but get the opportunity now to try and get some more plates. But here's the players, though, as he backs off, looks for the new angle, looks for the pitch up, has the pitch up, the smoke on the additional side, doesn't see the player, gets the spray on the inside, gets 1 damage, gets 2, and he nearly gets the knock.
So close with the MBO, just not having the damage outside of that golden bracket range of a 3-shot, not finding it, and they've just shown their hand. Great pickup there by Almardo, but not enough to flush it out for now. That's going to be power play Greek, going to be in that DBNO status. Might get recovered, likely found by that defib, but every team compacting and getting close to the edge of seal. All of them so tantalizingly close. They can smell each other, see each other on the radar, but no one's blinked just yet. A hero revive on the menu, Mark.
Oh, we love a hero revive. Keeps your team in the fight. Wraith, though, still alive, keeping that higher ground, but again, has to get off. As the rest of the Buffalo, well, they have options. They're farming the information. That's still critical, though. As we see, there's no one in the middle. Everyone fights round the corner.
Oh, this drone's gathering so much value. It's really a chance to paint the picture and see how things are working out in the final stages. Now, with one side holding so much high ground, the bombers go out. So much damage found, but the yellow side just compacting the back of this bunker, still holding on. And with the fire line and the encroaching Stoom, you gotta wonder if they can do just enough to lock this one out. As Saber should be able to shut it down. His power play Greek finds 1. His teammate finds the 2nd. And the squad is going to fall in a few seconds, I have a feeling, as we're down to our top 6 here, Mark.
Saber's sitting on the outside edge as well, but they're on the short side of zone. They just need to get across this gap, and they'll have some more hard cover to play with, as they will go in, get a reload, get a restock, and have the opportunity to have a slight breather. We are 6 teams, 17 players left with him. But we've got to manage our utility. We've got to manage these players. So taking damage at distance, that's not going to help you convert the win.
Zone pulls away from the planes on the high ground, back in towards the middle, a little bit off the center line of Seal, giving some buildings for cover to work with, and it looks like one squad already deciding to commit to play deep inside that building. The ridge line still open for now, with lots of space behind them to work with, so I wonder, will this be Wolverine squad to try and play the shooting gallery, picking off players one by one with the range advantage and the high ground they hold. It's going to be Screwface making a big pivot around, trying to find that flank, but it's going to be a great exposure. The smoke's going to do just enough to invite that pressure, but Zeagle's going to find 1. Power play Greek gets shut down, and there's going to be a difficult fight. The SCW-10 doesn't find the knock, and huge damage done in the return.
It is Wolverine trying to use the last ridge, the last hope, the last ditched attempt before they have to get involved. They have to commit over. But it looks like they haven't made a decision which way to go. They are fully split. They are now committing towards this sort of south side of the pitch, and the fight is already underway. Exchange goes down. 2 teams will lose the bodies, though, and we are down to 13 players.
Final pressure. Top 5 squads. And it feels like it's going to be a lot of the players that we've seen time and time again. Wraith has been so impactful time and time again. There's going to be lots of chickens. Gets down. The defib should arrive and get him back in the fight. 4 squads. 1 more is fallen. And it's going to be that middle part of the seal. The final fight. Smoke strike is in. And will this invite teams to make that final difficult engage with so much pressure on this ridgeline with one team staring, bearing down. You got to wonder how strong this position will be. They hold it and they got a lot of space to their back. The zone's not putting them under any pressure, Mark. They can sit here for a long, long time.
No, and they're playing it well. They're just trying to farm the information. I love that Screwface is not dropping the ball on this side, and they're kind of doing this 2-2 split. The question is, can they get a knock? If they get a knock, they get an opening. But it depends on the timing. They go too early, they might get exposed. It's about that run over the top and making sure enough damage has been done to the 3 other remaining teams.
6-7 just down the 2 players, and we talked about their consistency to get into these top circle positions, but their inconsistency to close out games. And I have a feeling this might just be another story where they can get a deep run, but they might not be able to get anything further from it, as only 2 players standing against a lot of full capacity squads, and they're right in the middle of action. I talked about C4s being a factor, but none in ammunition. Mike's not going to be able to do anything with it, and massive smoke grenade. I wonder, can he make a play here, Mark?
Oh, the opening there. I could feel my W key being being pushed down. A solo army, 6-7. Let's see if they go to conversion. They haven't got the numbers, but they've got the hold at the moment. Screwface still holding that outside edge, still waiting for a wrap up, but I don't think that wrap is coming just yet. 3 teams now remain, but not all of them have the bodies to convert. It's about tactical fighting. The smartest guns will win.
This high ground just paying so much dividends. It's going to be one more pickup as Azra's going to fall. And it's going to be a massive 4 stack up here as Wolverine squad have a massive numbers game advantage. They can flood in against these wounded teams. And that's exactly what they'll do. The final circle disperses. It's going to get all massively shredded. Opens the door to his own demise. The defib showing their dividends once again. And can Wolverine squad as the one Zolgy player play the spoiler. Finds a revive. And they've opened this up. But here comes the crash. Can they find a way to survive?
Well, the Wolverines will hunt in the pack, but they've lost the numbers though. The Sabres are already here. There's a 1-2. Look at the conversion. And the Sabres, they take the win in the end. The Wolverines, they hunted in a pack whip it, but the pack wasn't big enough. Push comes to shove. 6-7 one more time, but more importantly, the Sabres back to back, baby.
A brutal final circle that was. But that is what I love, and Seal has provided once again, and we have been graced by the presence of Merlin the cat.
Meow. Well, Sabres, you've got to win, mate. You've got to bring the cat in. I'd say bring mine, but she's starting off anywhere. Well, my Merlin the cat waits, though. Gibson, what a game. What an ending. And I really like the difference in verticality. Last couple of games, we've had these kind of urban buildings, the high verticality. This side, though, the Wolverines were the only ones really on the high ground. Everybody else was in the bowl of doom.
Yes, we don't get finishes up there all that often, so it was nice to see it. And I'm going to say it, the way that played out with all these teams bringing the fight to that one control room was so well done. And then back-to-back wins at the end of the night was very well played. So massive credit to those, wasn't it llamas, alpacas, something, you know, crazy names of them. The koalas chasing... I'm getting the exact name because we got to put respect on it. But it was the awesome koalas pushing Yetis with back-to-back wins at the end. So massive credit to them. But all in all, another great night of action. I think that the scene's developing every time we're on camera, and hopefully that continues.
Well, we won't keep you guys for long. Let's just go around final thoughts before we go out to raid people on Twitch, though. Whip it. Let's start with you.
I think my big takeaway is that we need to see 6-7 find that consistency to close out games. They're always there in the end, but it feels like they're always the bridesmaids, never the bride, but they're always in these top positions so close to getting across the finish line.
Gibson?
Yeah, we'll be back again, hopefully on Friday or Saturday as we bring you the scrims. Hopefully all 4 of us will be in tandem, but we'll keep you posted. But until then, be good.
The best to last die. Come on, closing statements for the scrims today.
God damn, as always, a pleasure to be here. And even today, we had some fantastic games and some fantastic fights. I mean, the Sharks, they won twice. The Sabres, they won twice. The first game, not gonna lie, I forgot which team won that one. Completely out of my mind. But at this point, it's really interesting to see. I completely agree with Gibson. The scene is developing every single time we are on camera. Whippets, completely agree with it as well. And guys, Friday, Saturday, we might be here again.
100% will be here again. Thank you guys all for jumping in. I want to thank the observers, though. First time we're having the professional observers in. Definitely a world above what we can produce. So thank you very much, guys, for jumping in and giving up your time. Thank you very much for the fire team. If you haven't already, get yourself signed up. !fire team into chat. Get you on the Discord. Get your buddies together and get signed up because we hopefully will see you on Friday. That's it from me, as I can only echo what these amazing people have said because it has been amazing. The skill level is getting greater. Who can catch up with TBA? Big questions there. 6-7, get close, get conversion. See you next time.